Evening, everybody. Before we start tonight's show, we would like to address the incredibly devastating news that broke this morning. Footballer Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva were tragically killed in a car accident. The football community across the world are in mourning right now, as we have all seen today. But let's just take a moment to think about the family of Diogo and Andre, as they have lost two family members in this awful tragedy: a son, a husband, a father, a popular character wherever he was, a friend too. We send our condolences and thoughts to the family, friends, teammates, Liverpool Football Club, and anybody that ever felt a connection towards these two incredible people. It's a tragedy that has impacted the world of football. May they both rest in peace. Sorry, everyone. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, Absolutely Lower League, the show dedicated to the EFL Championship, League One, and League Two. It's our final season review. It's been a long journey, may I add. I've had 6 to cover. Sam has had the Premier League to cover. We've had the Women's Championship, WSL, and Sam's going on holiday soon because he needs a break from doing the graphics for all these reviews.
If I see one more of those damn graphics, I'm going to literally... End of season is over. It's over. Please, new season.
But it is the EFL Championship review, the final one. And of course, I couldn't do it alone. We have got Dan hopefully joining us very, very soon. But I brought some amazing people with me. And I will start with you. How are you? And how's your week been so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, apart from today with that horrible news, and obviously just want to say, beautiful words from yourself, and obviously I want to pass my condolences on to the family of Diogo and Andrew. Horrible news. But apart from that, I've been all right. Obviously, on a Sunderland front, we're starting to make signings and starting to spend £30 million on players. It's just it's not registering in my head. Like 5 years ago, we were signing Carl McFadzean, and now we're getting like Habib Diarra, who scored past England. It's just mad. But yeah, apart from that, I'm all good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Do you know what, though? I'm a little bit annoyed with our fans because our kit has just come out and I think it's a really nice kit, and our fans have gone into meltdown about how shocking it is. And I'm like, really? Can we not have one good day without Dale having a meltdown?
Well, as you know, being a football kit connoisseur, I actually quite like it. So
it's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah. We brought our away top out today, which is quite weird because we've done the away top before the home top. But our away top's quite nice, so I think I'll probably be buying that. That's out tomorrow, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, I quite like Dales, I've got to be honest. So there you go. Stop wetting yourselves, Rochdale fans. It's nice.
I thought you meant me then. I was like, I'm not yet. Sam, the EFL man. I mean, thank you for joining us. I know it's been a little bit of a journey today with the dentist.
It's been quite a journey. So yeah, please don't over the graphics because I did them after I went to the dentist. So God knows we're going to have teams from all around the world. I think probably in there. Who knows? Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, and I think just reiterate amazing words there, Shah. I will sort of it's just a sad day for the whole football community. It was mad when it broke this morning. You could just sort of see that kind of outpouring of grief, and that it's horrendous. So, but no, it's nice at least say we can come together and talk football, and everyone can kind of sort of release in a different way. So yeah, I'm getting through this week. How are you doing, Shah?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to talk the Championship. I am really excited. But a very special guest as well. I'm really excited for this.
Oh,
So how are you? How's
I'm
your
good.
week been? Please tell everybody about your content and who you support as well. I'm so happy for this.
Who I support, unfortunately, is Watford Football Club. For my own sins, but yeah, I'm from the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast. We've had the wonderful Ant on a few times, talking Sunderland, but obviously now we're going to miss him for at least a season, hopefully more. But there will be a Christmas special, as I said before we started recording, so we'll get him back on. But yeah, no, a real crazy club that I support, and really easy content when you've got a podcast, because every day is a new day as a Watford supporter. You never know what's going to happen. Just before we kind of crack on with it, I just want to say what great words you said at the beginning there. I thought it was very poignant and horrible as a family man. It's your worst nightmare, isn't it? Take football away for a minute. It's devastating. So much love to his family, and anybody that's suffering with that at the moment. It's terrible news. But we're here to talk about football, so let's do it.
Yeah. And I can feel your pain as well on the losing Ant, because I've lost Ant and Dan from this show now. Burnley fan, Sunderland fan, so I'm not very happy.
I did stay off air as well before we started, because I honestly think the world of the lads that Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast with like kind of met each other. We went to the FCAs a couple of years ago where we were all on the losers table, apart from the Barnet fans who won at the end, but we were like, And bless Justin from the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast took it badly that they didn't win and nicked off home. So it was me, Carl, and Peter just getting pissed in Anfield, which was mint. But the brilliant guys, and I am really sad I won't be on. Obviously, I'll be on at Christmas, but I'm really sad we're not having our regular chats over to, because it's just such a laugh in it. And for anyone who doesn't listen, or even if you're not remotely bothered about Watford, just please listen to these guys' podcast. It is absolutely hilarious.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Having dog predicting football scores. I've got a bloke playing backgammon. It's just unreal. And it's one of the best moments I've had being a podcaster, being on their show. So massive well done, and massive respect to you. And I will.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Please follow us in a couple of years.
I'm taking all this. I'm taking all this love, and really, I do bugger all in terms of the production. So I just turn up. So no, Justin and Pete, who the other two, and they do a great job. And it is. We just have a laugh. You can't take it too seriously, especially being a Watford fan. There's certain clubs that you just can't take seriously, and ours is one of them. And we might get onto that. You never know, talking about ownership and managers and so forth. But we'll cover that later. But yeah, no, brilliant. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's very kind words.
Right, we best start talking football, hadn't we? We've got a lot of teams to get through. A lot of teams. I just want to say as well, everybody in the chat, I did put up the comments as well, the kind words and everything. But thank you for joining us tonight. But yeah, we will get onto it. Cardiff City finished in 24th position. Who wants to speak about Cardiff?
Wow.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. What do we do? Pull a straw now, do we?
Do you know what? I think this is honest to how long of a season it was, but I'm fairly sure we played Cardiff first game of the season. And if there is Sunderland fans in the chat, please correct us if I'm wrong. But I'm fairly confident Luke O'Nien scored in the first echelons of the game. And I can just remember taking from that game that Cardiff were terrible. And obviously they didn't get much better over the season. I mean, 2 away wins out of 19 games, and you're asking for trouble, aren't you?
And do you know who one of those away wins was against?
Was it possibly Watford?
It was. Yeah, it was. They actually ended our undefeated run when we were I forget what we were now, but we were flying, and Cardiff came there, long balled us all day long, and nicked a win. It's kind of where our season started falling apart, really, after that game. I've got to be fair to them. So for me, it's not that surprising they've gone down, because they have got a basket case of an owner. You think Watford's are bad, but it's crazy what's going on down there. So there's a lot of work to be done at Cardiff, and I don't think it's an easy bounce back for them, that division next season. It's going to be a tough one. So yeah, good luck to them.
Do you know what as well? Sorry, Anne, go on.
I've just checked. We did beat them in the opening day of the season, and Jack Clark scored. It's felt like years since he played for us. Just a year ago. It's madness. But yeah.
I was just going to add as well, I know it's not a preview show, but I'm not confident at all next season, and I think they will really struggle. And I'm not just saying it because they have appointed Brian Barry Murphy as manager. I've got a lot of dislike towards him. I'm a bit salty because of how it ended with Dale and what he did to us. But I've just got a massive feeling. I think there's a lot of stuff going off the pitch as well. I believe the captain, who has been there for quite a while, has left. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. I think he's been there for quite a long time. I think they've got obviously players leaving as well. And I just feel like Brian Barry Murphy, I know he's got that Premier League experience from being at Leicester in the backroom staff recently, and he's been at Manchester City Academy as well. But I just feel like they've gone for the cheaper option. Yeah. And I don't think I don't want to like make it a bashing on him, but I don't think he's really got the League One experience that well, because he was the manager who relegated us from League One. So I know it's a whole different kettle of fish, Cardiff and Rochdale. You can't put them in the same bracket, but I just think they've gone for the cheaper option, and he's not got the experience that Cardiff necessarily do need right now to try and stabilise them.
I agree. I would probably have gone for like an experienced head, especially like someone to get them out of that league. And I'm not overly confident he's the boy, but it might be a project, mightn't it? But as we've said before, with Vincent on there, then anything can happen. You probably
anything.
6 weeks and
anything could happen.
So yeah, it's like I say, I've got no real like. It's one of them Cardiff, one of them teams where I just don't really care about them. It's just there's no affiliate, there's nothing. I can't remember any games against them. I mean, I still remember that, and it was last season. And it's just a meh, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, off you go.
It's a long old trip as well. Doesn't matter where you travel from in the country. It's a long old trip. They're in Swansea, so I'm not going to miss that one next season, I must admit. So. Yeah, there are positives to it. Can I just chuck in, because you mentioned Rochdale? I forgot to mention that, and I didn't mention this to that. My wife's actually from that neck of the woods. She's from Bury.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, is it Hayward? Hayward.
I don't want to tell everyone on the podcast right now because I might get some visitors. But yeah,
yeah,
don't live there anymore though.
No, she doesn't. I brought her down south, but yeah, she's a Bury lass. So. That
I like how you said she doesn't either, as if you had a long distance relationship with your wife.
No. Sometimes I wish I had, but no.
It must be a Hayward thing, though.
It is. Yeah, definitely.
I think as well, I'm pretty sure, I don't want to out her, but I'm pretty sure Jen's from the same place as well, so it might be a reoccurring thing.
Oh, here we go, yeah.
Those Hayward lasses. Sam, have you got anything you want to say about Cardiff, or have we said it all?
Yeah, they were rubbish. I mean, if you finish bottom of the league, it's pretty self-explanatory. But I look at those away goals. It's just they conceded far too many goals. They got punted in quite a number of games. The manager situation, obviously, there was an Errol Bullett at the start of the season, and then they kind of had the longest interim manager I think I've ever seen. I think in terms of it was about 4 or 5 months before they decided what to do with him, and then by that time it was kind of too late. There was nothing to them. I quite like the guy that they got, I think in January, Salic. I think he was quite good for them, but I mean, he was having to score in the last minute just to get them points in games. So it just all disintegrated down, didn't it? I think the same. I think next season's as Ant will know well, you don't just bounce back from League One very easily if you're well set up, and Cardiff are in a bad place. So I think, this is a shock for them to go down. Maybe in the long run it might be a good shock, but I don't think in the immediate future it's going to be positive for them. So yeah, they were rubbish.
I think the only positive you can take from next season is you haven't got a Wrexham or a Birmingham who, because obviously they went up. I don't think it'll be as runaway winners or anything like that, but that just makes it more and more tight in that league. So they're gonna have to start very, very well, to be fair.
Yeah. Can I just point out as well, right? Brian Barry Murphy, when he was the manager at Rochdale, he openly admitted in an interview that he doesn't look at the table. So Cardiff fans, if you are watching, that's what you're dealing with. He says he does not look at the league table. He just likes to set his teams up to play football, and kind of it is what it is kind of thing. So
he did not pass that as a relegation when he took you down.
He got relegated, so he's played to see he does not look at the table.
Does he just not know where to find it? Has no one told him? Like,
Yeah. No, genuinely, and that's one thing all Dale fans say, and we're like, wow, how's this man like got this job? Like it's a good while ago now, so it might have improved and stuff, and he has got that experience. But hopefully, he does look at the table now for the Cardiff fans, anyway. We hope. 23rd position, we have Plymouth, Argyle. Sam, I'll ask you first. Plymouth.
Oh, Green Army, bless them. Down a league, but you'll never beat those pasties. I'll tell you, they're forever. So League One are in for a treat. Not quite the journey, but they'll be in for a treat in terms of the food when they get there. Yeah, it didn't start off great, did it, with Rooney? The appointment that I think everybody thought would go that kind of way, it did. A number of defensive issues that they had through the season, which didn't help them. And then when they seemed to get their act together, Muslic, I thought, did a decent job at the end of last season. I think they would have wanted him to stay, but he's gone to Schalke, I think, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
And obviously they had that tremendous FA Cup wins over Brentford and Liverpool, but I think that deterred them at a point in the league when they were starting to get a bit of momentum, and at that stage they were still trying to play catch up, weren't they? So that away form's horrific. Just a real struggle for them. I think it's Plymouth always expecting to be, I think, around there even when they started the season. This is no surprise that they've gone down. I obviously, with my affiliations with Manchester United, I love Wayne Rooney, the player, but I don't think we'll be seeing him as a manager at this level. Well, you would imagine not, but someone might go for it again.
It's actually been linked with the Macclesfield job, because Robbie Savage has now gone to Forest Green. Wayne Rooney is a name that's flying around Macclesfield at the moment.
That's bonkers. It's bonkers,
isn't it?
It's bonkers. Yeah, their season was pretty much done for when they appointed Rooney. Unfortunately, he's never proven it anywhere, and
no.
I just you can only live so long on your name, and you go back through generations. There's been great players who just haven't been good managers. It just doesn't work out for them, and unfortunately, as you say, Wayne Rooney, a brilliant player, but I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's a weird one. But what I will say, little Watford connection, the manager that they have brought in for the next season, League One, Tom Cleverley, I fancy him to do really well next season.
Yeah.
I fancy him to do really well. Tom, and we'll probably talk about him more when we talk about Watford, but Tom was really unlucky at Watford. It just not backed by the ownership, which isn't the first time I've said that. And there is a good coach there. And I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to speak to him. And he's got a lot of good ideas, and I think he'll do well at that football club. I really do.
You mentioned the Cardiff link before about one of the two away wins was against Watford. Wayne Rooney's first win last season. Plymouth manager was against us, and they actually took 4 points off us last season. And I thought, had they got rid of him, because there was talk about it in October, wasn't there, when it went up, but then they won 2 out of 3, and I think that's what kept him in the job. Had they got Muslic in a little bit earlier, I think they probably would have stopped up. I think he just had too much of a mountain to climb. That left it too long. Had it been a month, 6 weeks earlier, I think we're talking about Plymouth being in this division. But I also echo what Carl said about Tom Cleverley. I think he'll do a really, really good job there. I thought he was unlucky at Watford, a little bit harshly sacked. But I really hope, to be honest, he seems like a really nice bloke as well off the pitch. So it'd be good to see him. You know, they'll be all right. Then I think they'll bounce back. To be honest,
yeah.
I really like that kit as well, the yellow one. You know me. I love a good yellow kit.
They've lost Ryan Hardy, haven't they? He's left on a free, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. They've got some good young players that I think will do well in League One. I think because they'll be given more of an opportunity, and then if they build around that with a couple of decent additions, then I agree. I think they'll be a good team to watch.
Yeah, Tom's taken a couple of the youth academy managers down there to Plymouth with him, so they'll definitely get a chance if they've got a young squad down there, 100%.
Want them back just for the pasties, don't
Yes, here we go. Let's go.
Can we just first? This is Luton Town. They finished in 22nd. Let's take a moment to appreciate Rob Edwards.
Dear God.
Right, we can talk now. Carl, I will come to you first.
Thank you.
Just needed that moment.
Thank you. Best moment of the season. Yeah, look, over the moon that they've gone down. Brilliant. People say to me, "Oh, you're going to miss the derby next season." And so, no, I won't. I couldn't care less. I can't stand playing this lot. Yeah, look, they're for me. They're one of these clubs now that have, and it's happened before. And the teams that it's happened before to struggle, and Sunderland would probably be one. Come out of the Premier League, fall straight through the Championship, and enter League One. That's a really hard bounce, and there's a lot of transfer activity going out the door at Luton at the moment and not coming in. So they're under pressure. They're under pressure before they've even kicked a ball, because straight away they'll want to come up. They've got a new ground now that's just been agreed, and they've started building on that. So there's a lot to do. Rob Edwards, you've just mentioned, will probably get Middlesbrough relegated this season. Hopefully. But
no Rob slander on here.
But yeah, look, I'm obviously biased where Luton are concerned. I can't even begin to imagine. I hope they go to League Two, and yeah, we'll leave it there for me. Probably that's probably all I can say on that.
I think you should get off the fence, Carl, and see what you read.
Yeah, I've got
too neutral.
I've got splinters, haven't I? Sorry, my bad.
I think with their season, though, it was like kind of it was a bit like kind of Ipswich's last year, where everyone was like kind of going, "Oh, they'll drop off." It was same with Luke, like they'll pull it around at some point. They'll pull it around. Edwards will pull it around. Hang on, and then they nearly got over it, didn't they? Like they went on a really good run, didn't it, towards the end of the season, where like Matt Bloom took ages for him to get his first win, but then they went on this really good run, but then just naffed it up at the end. And I think with them as well, obviously with them going down, they've also lost Carlton Morris, who, captain and, top goal scorer, even though he only got 8. But, someone who's been to the Premier League with them, has now dropped. He's went to Derby now, hasn't he? So, yeah, I worry for them, actually. I don't think, because the amount of money that's probably gone into that stadium, you're thinking that's probably the parachute payments from last season gone into that, hasn't it? So, yeah, it must be. You must be thinking, being the owners of them, that this is the worst possible thing that could have possibly ever happened, especially when they're in the Premier League. Less than 18 months ago, and now they're in League One, and it is, as you both mentioned, it is a horrible, horrible league to get out of. And if the longer you're down there, the worse it gets, because you end up, your better players do leave because they want to be in the Championship or to get poached or whatever. I struggle to see them back up in the next couple of years, I must admit. And again, another club I don't really care about. It's just,
I've turned Ant into an anti-Luton person.
Well, it's kind of like that's what gets you back for shithousing us in the playoffs a couple of years ago when we didn't have a fit centre half or a striker. But never mind. Who's got the last laugh now, eh?
Exactly.
Sam, come on. I need you to be like to have your say.
to try and give some Luton positivity.
Please.
Well, yeah, they've not had a lot of it this season, have they? I know it's just bizarre, kind of the downfall. Just said straight out of the Premier League, straight. I think Sunderland did it 2018, I think, and that's the last time that kind of happened. But they didn't score enough goals. I mean, that Luton side was a threat in the Premier League, and they just seem to get worked out pretty quickly. I don't like to quote XG because Claire kills me if I say anything related to XG. But Adebayo up front had like one of the worst goals to XG ratios I think I've seen. He was just absolute, couldn't hit a barn door in front of goal. He said that it's just that teething time when Matt Bloomfield took too long, as Ant said, to get that first win, and then it got going, but it was kind of too little too late, and almost on the final day got themselves out of trouble. But I think it was just one of those, it just kind of cascaded, because they would never have thought that they would be in this position. And as Ant said, during the season, they'll sort themselves out. And just didn't. And now they're sort of thinking, where do we kind of go from here? So a really bizarre season, I think, fair to be said. Like, no one really had Luton in their relegation 3.
I didn't.
I did.
Carl, I'm sure, has it every season, just there in permanent pen.
I can't remember what I had with Luton, to be honest. I know I'll be on at the end, won't it? But I cannot remember.
You actually did. You actually on our podcast, and we did a top 3 and a bottom 3, and you actually said Luton.
What, top or bottom? Bottom 3.
Bottom 3. Yeah.
I thought so. I thought I had. I knew I had reservations about them this year, that because they hadn't signed anyone. You know what I mean? It was just, we'll go again. And the problem is when you've got up. When you've gone up in a certain way, which what they did 2 years ago, they just, again, long balls and the shit that was the way into the Premier League. You know what I mean? And I think they got up through a penalty kick and this, that, and the other. We would have beat them 2 years ago if we had a fit centre half. We didn't have one fit centre half. We had Trey Hume playing centre half with, I can't even remember who else. And even if we had, like, say if Ross Stewart was fit, we would have been in the Premier League now. You know what I mean? But sorry, 2 years ago, never mind now. But yeah, it is what it is. But kind of to ask the question back, especially to you, Shab, to know you, the Rob Edwards part of the fan club. I mean, I'm part of the fan club. You know what I mean? Absolutely beautiful man.
I'm the leader.
Do you think that they maybe held on to him a little bit too long as well, considering it might have been too like a lot of points in the bank of he got us to the Premier League, and I think that was maybe the problem, because at the end they were coming back with Bloomfield.
No, I completely agree, and I feel like maybe if they did make that change a little bit more earlier, as we mentioned towards the end of the season, they put a little bit of a run together, didn't they? And they made it quite interesting. So if they did that and got Bloomfield in that little bit earlier, I'm not saying they would have survived, but they would have had a better chance, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's coming from a Rob Edwards fan.
You just want to keep that? Do you want that on for the rest of the podcast?
I know.
Just,
I'll put it on my phone. I'll put it on my phone. I'm joking. I just wanted to point out as well, if anybody wants a team relegating, let me know, because I backed them to win the league, and I don't think I've ever had a worse prediction in my life. I mean, I'm not that good at predictions anyway, but I think this is like the cherry on top of the cake. I've never got one as bad as this.
Well done to you. Congratulations.
I know.
I'm over the moon.
I did it for you, Carl. I did it for you.
I appreciate you.
21st, we have Hull City. And yes, I did pronounce my H then, everyone.
Well
done. Gone posh.
Hull. Funny team. They got away with one last season for me. If it wasn't for, like you said, and just not stepping back into it, but holding on to Rob Edwards a little bit too long, Luton probably got Hull off the hook. The home form for them was, odd, to say the least. Normally it's a really tough place to go to, generally speaking. But yeah, I think they were very lucky. There's a lot of work to be done in the close season for next season for Hull City. So it'll be interesting to see how they go again and what happens there. It's going to be it could go either way for me. Hull, they could go really well and push up the league, or they could find themselves in trouble. It's a tough one to call.
It looks like they're going to be throwing the money at it again, though, aren't they? Because they've signed Barry on a permanent, aren't they?
It looks that way, but they never looked like a team for a lot of the season last year. I saw them a couple of times. It just never looked like an out and out team. A lot of great individual players, but just lack something. And that's the fix they need to find for me. But like you say, they're going to go and throw some money, so we'll see.
Unfortunately, with them again going back to kind of stats, they were the first team to beat us at the Stadium of Light. We were unbeaten until February or March, whatever it was, and they were the first team to beat us when Anthony Patterson decided he's going to throw the ball into the back of his net. But apart from that, again, just 6 goals. If your top scorer was getting 6 goals a season, you're going to struggle, aren't you? You know, and this is like João Pedro was about 58. So, bless him. But I thought it was a bit harsh because when Sellers came in, they were dead and buried, weren't? And he got the brief. They wanted him to keep them up, and then the second, I didn't think that was. I thought that was strange, but yeah, I agree. I think it could go one way or the other, couldn't it? Well, there we go. Apparently, just been put under an embargo, so they're not spending any money.
Oh,
wow! But there
you go.
Basket case, isn't it?
Well, I'll take it back. Colour going down. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll back them for the league then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see about Dean Holden going there as assistant manager. The best thing Hull did was take Casey Palmer from us. That's from Simon. Sam, anything you want to add on Hull?
add on Al.
Add on Hull.
Add on Hull. No, I just it didn't work with Tim Vogt to start the season. I think he had a winless run, and it was just from there. And I think, as the guys have said, like just from the outside, it doesn't really look like an identity in terms of a team. It's sporadically buying players. Obviously, that won't happen now, but there'll be sporadic free transfers still. But this is it. Where's identity? It's I think, as we've said on the pod before, since Rossini went, and look at the amazing job he's doing in France at the minute. It's all gone on that kind of that
doing incredible, actually, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done that phenomenally well over there as well, and he's getting the recognition he deserves. So they must be looking back at that, and it's now a question of where they go from here, because Sellers is out. Is it Jakirovic, I think, who's again continental coach? No,
he'll not be there by Christmas. He'll not be there by Christmas, will he?
He might not be there for the start of the season when he is about to start. He'll turn around potentially, but it's not looking good so far for Hull. I think because I got their shirt in a mystery football shirt box in the middle of the season, so I can probably take ownership for that one because it all went downhill from there.
we've all got a story, haven't we? On
this is it. We're all a bad omen for someone.
I'd be interesting to know as well. Obviously, we do have a Hull fan in the chat, so you let us know if anybody else supports any championship clubs as well. If you want to just give us a little bit of a summary about your season, we are happy with it. Expectations for next season as well, please let me know. But yeah, 20th position, Preston North End.
PNE.
Yeah, I mean, they dropped like a barge, didn't they, last year? Weren't they like, I don't think they were ever challenging or anything like that for the playoffs or anything, but they were like always like a mid-table club, and there's always a team that gets dropped in, doesn't it? And then you were like, hang on a minute, it's going to be Preston here. It's going to be Preston here. And they came to Stadium Light. It was like quite a cold Tuesday. Because when we were going on a little bit of our sticky patch after we'd lost the Leeds, and they looked all right, and I thought, oh, these will be all right. We scored I think it was like a last-minute equaliser or something along those lines. It was quite late on when we scored, and it was like a Romain Mundell absolute, world-class goal. And I thought, oh, these will be all right here. And then I was like thinking, I think I was looking a couple of weeks before the end of the season, like, bloody hell, what's happened to them? But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think they got rid of Ryan Lowe quite early on in the season, didn't they? And then Eka came in. He was an ex-Sunderland player, so I've got like all the respect for Eka. But he was linked with us at the start of the year. I was like, no, please no. But no, and that Emile Reese is a good player. The lad I think he's gone though now, hasn't he?
He's gone to Bristol City, yeah.
Yeah,
great signing for them because he was like a proper old-fashioned striker. You're big, strong, knew where the back of the net was as well. So I was surprised to see them that low down.
Yeah. PNE for me they're just a team that's just there then just in the Championship, you take them for granted. A bit like Tottenham, I guess, in the Premier League. They just sort of sit there. But I ate something called a butter pie in Preston once upon a time, and ever since then I've never really adored the place because it did terrible things to my insides. But enough of that. That's another chat. I'll say something now. PNE are my tip for relegation next season. I just think that they're running out of ideas, and as you just said, they've lost probably their best player to Bristol City. I worry about them and what their plan is. And again, we talk about identity. Don't see it. It seems to be like lump it in the air and elbow whoever comes near you. That sends. And I'm really sorry if there's any PNE fans in this, but I just find you one of those clubs that I'm just like, not Preston this week. And I'm sorry to say that because you probably say that about Watford, but that's just how I feel. There you go. I've offended the people of Preston now. We can move on.
I think that the fact looking at only 4 losses at home is a good record, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 20.
Superb. Yeah.
There's just great draws as well, isn't there? But...
No, I completely agree, though. Obviously, next season, they're one of my favourites to go down. I know they haven't kicked a ball yet, but I just feel like the teams coming up are quite strong as well and have financial backing behind them. So when you kind of look at the table now, and these are one of my favourites to obviously go down. But, Carl, we need a podcast so you can tell your story. We need an all about me just for that story about your pie.
The butter pie. Yeah. No. Wasn't good. It's got to be it's an X-rated podcast. Let me tell you.
We'll put it on after the watershed. Don't worry. 19th, we have Derby County.
Here we go. Derby. Somebody say something great about Derby. Go on. And come on.
I can't. I can't. I mean,
I like the third kit.
Yeah. There you go. Great stadium, by the way. Terrible pitch, but great stadium. Yeah, so, I don't know. Derby are another one. Could go either way. I think they need another season to make themselves stronger. So they've got to build again this season because there were points last season I thought they were gone. But to be fair to them, I think there were a lot of people's choices to go down last season, and they managed to stay up. But I think it comes down to budget and what they can spend, and what they're going to do. But they're like a bit like Hull City, could go either way really for them. I think this season, and they've obviously signed a horrible lad from Luton who should score goals at that level and should score goals for them. So you got to hope if they can add a couple of more players of that ilk to that squad, they might find themselves quite comfortable in mid-table.
I think John Eustace did a really good job, didn't he? Like, obviously, big risk for him to leave Blackburn, who were in the playoffs at the time, and then he went there, and they were tailed off, weren't they? And he did a cracking job to turn that around, because it was going one way under Paul Warren, wasn't it? And that's the only good thing I can say. I mean, I can remember, I think there was another one a Tuesday night game, because I remember Job scored. But I think hands down they were the worst team we played. They were awful. Both times we played them, they were absolutely awful. But John Eustace will make a team battle. He'll have that team battling. So that gives them half a chance. And I do rate him as a coach or a manager. I think he's got something about him. We were heavily linked with him before Rob Edwards came in to us, and I would have loved that, but it wasn't meant to be. So we couldn't sack him as well as another 555,000 people. But no, he should be all right. But I just think they financially, I know they've got problems, and they probably need to add a couple of more players to that squad to make them comfortable. But what do I know? I'm a Watford supporter.
18th position, we had Stoke City.
Now they say Book, Luke and Took here. Book, Luke and Took in Stoke.
Do you know what? Like it's just literally Derby Part 2, isn't it? Can anyone think of anything good to say about Stoke now? No.
Right. Can I share another very quick story about Stoke? Very quick. This is amazing. It's the strangest thing that happened to me, or strangest thing I saw. we went to a pub pre-away game against Stoke, and I went to the toilet, and there was a little shelf next to the urinal, and on this urinal was a can of a pot of aftershave, a spray deodorant, and a shareable roll-on deodorant that was just sitting in this toilet. And I was like, that is low, isn't it? Sharing
Which one
a roll.
did you use?
Well, I
With a roll on.
Well, the roll-on deodorant went missing halfway through, so some Watford supporter stole it, which is probably the worst bit. That's the worst bit about the whole thing. So that probably says more about us than it does poor Stoke. But yeah, another team that I think, could right. Let me say this: the manager, who's obviously gone there, ex-Coventry, Robbins. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he's gone there. I really am. I think he could have probably had a job in the Premier League. With what he done at Coventry. So I'm surprised he's gone there, but he's got one hell of a job. He's got one hell of a job to keep Stoke doing well in this season, because I just cannot see them getting much above where they finished last season, 18th. I just do not see what and the ownership at Stoke are multi-billionaires, and I know that there's the financial fair play, but you just don't see the same buy-in as that you saw a few years ago. Mm-hmm. It just seems to be like, bargain basement sort of purchases just to keep them ticking over. So I really do wonder about Stoke City. They're a funny one for me. And again, I've said it 3 times now, but could really go either way. But I think we'll see Stoke towards the bottom of the bottom of the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what it just says about them as well? That like Tom Cannon was their top scorer. He wasn't there for half the season.
Half the season, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He went to Sheffield United, didn't he? And never scored for them. But it is strange, isn't it? Because it's again more about like teams from the Premier League, and they were like a staple in the Premier League, weren't they? And did like Tony Pulis and that, and they were getting Arsene Wenger really upset and all that, and there was all this, can you do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke, which was, it is the coldest stadium ever. But like to see them like down, it's just becoming the norm, isn't it? And it is weird. And they're gonna have to. They are gonna have to be very, very careful, because we mentioned it a couple of times now. The teams coming up now are just a lot better. And is it time that they went down? Are they just filling it? Are they just filling a place for filling its sake? Possibly. I don't think Mark Robbins will take a team down. I think he's too good for that. But they need a lot of investment. And the problem being is they've always just thought, well, we'll just sign 2 or 3 like big players for like big fees, but they're just like putting like plasters over a gaping wound. It's not seldom. Like the defense was always like Stoke's big, like they pride themselves on keeping clean sheets. And look at that, they conceded, neck end of 60-odd goals last season. That's madness. I'm worried about them as well, to be honest. Again, it's just another one. You just go, oh, Stoke. You know what I mean? It's not a team I'll miss next season, I've got to be honest.
I'm not happy with them, Shah. I've got a bone to pick with Stoke. As you see with these graphics, I've created some lovely windows, and when you've got 3 managers, it's just selfish because you just can't fit them in the box for the graphic. So anyone who's had 3 managers this season can get in the bin. It's just unacceptable. But no, they are, aren't they? They become, as you said, that's kind of where you're expecting Stoke to be. And I think in January they bought the kind of main additions they brought back were people that they had out on loan to increase. They bought Baker back, didn't they, from Blackburn? And was it the lad from Walsall as well? Was he Stoke?
Yeah, Raw, isn't it? Nathan Raw.
Is it Low? Yeah. And you think that tells you you're panicking because you're trying to then rely on your loan players you didn't think 5-6 months ago were good enough for your starting 11, and they're the ones to come in. So, as you think, Robbins knows what he's doing, but will he get the kind of backing to do what they need to do? It's another one. That's kind of where you see Stoke sitting now, isn't it? That kind of mid-bottom half of the table, unfortunately.
I just wanted to point out a few things as well. Bless him, David. He's a Rochdale fan. They don't have 2 managers. It's just obviously the ones throughout the season. That's why there's 2 pictures of them on.
When Sam couldn't fit
do
you know what it was as well? I get the pictures from as well. I couldn't be bothered to find out. Like I put Pellat, I didn't even know he doesn't even exist anymore. They deleted him from the database. So I was like, I can't be bothered. Schumacher and Robbins get it.
Also, I'll have less of this. And what are you still doing on here? We are Premier League. I know he's Premier League. He's on here anyway, and it's a season review, isn't it? So you get to talk Sunderland today, but he is going to be on. He's not leaving me. He's not allowed to.
Yeah, I'm still going to be on a Thursday night. I'm not going anywhere.
Better have me. I'll hold you to
I want
this.
to be like I said before, didn't you? At the end of the photos, I want to be the only person on every single photo. So I'm going to join. Non-league next season.
Non-league.
Just to have me photo on all four of the brackets because I'm like that.
Yes, we'll have to call him the podcast floater.
That's usually me. With two floaters and being.
I'm all for it. It means less graphics advance on everyone because I've got his sorted. So.
Exactly. Just a few comments as well on Stoke. Simon
That's a really good point, by the way.
Robbins is good at signing players for cheap and turning them into world beaters. Victor Gyökeres and Gus Hamer. That is a very good point.
Great point. Yeah, great point.
Paul has put, Shawcross was such a talesman for them. They've been pretty spineless since he went. What a guy. I used to have him in my fantasy football all the time, but it was partial to a red card.
He was a monster, wasn't he? He was a monster.
Graham, he's a Charlton fan, by the way, and he has put, all these teams predicted to struggle. I'm feeling more confident about next season.
Bless.
That's Carl's butter pie again. Graham's put, and make the most of Thursdays this season, as we'll be in the Europa League next season.
We're quietly confident.
Do you agree with that, Anne?
No.
Champions League instead.
I know. Yeah. Won the league, man. I know we're not doing preview show, but give me 17th next year. I'll bet you hand off. Slowly build. We'll have Europe in a couple of years. We'll be fine.
Speaking of 17, Oxford United.
Oh, poor Des.
Any team that's got 3 stands in the Championship shouldn't be in the Championship.
There we go.
There you go. Done. Romeo done. Mic drop.
I'm joking.
They done really well. Oxford done really well last season. They did. Yeah, fair play to them. They were definitely my favourites to go down. So yeah, no, fair play. Proper gritty little sides. They're like most teams that will stay up in the season. You've got to make your home ground. Although one side of it's a car park, as impenetrable as it can be, and they did it pretty well overall for the season. So no, fair play to them. I doff my cap to Oxford United fans.
Yeah, I think they were everyone's tip to go down, weren't they? But I think the start got them over the line, didn't it? Because they started really well and then fell away, and then it kind of pulled it back again, didn't it? But the home form's kept them up. 11 wins, only 7 defeats. Obviously, the away form was absolutely terrible, and I think, like I said, I think it was kind of just the fact that I thought sacking Des Buckingham was the wrong kind of idea at the time. But we've mentioned before, sacking your managers, and maybe they were the ones who got that right and got it at the right time, because they got Gary Rowett, who came in, went on a really good run, and at one point they were like top of the form table when he went in. So fair play to them. It would have took because obviously Des Buckingham got them promoted against all the odds and all that, and fair play to them. And I think if you'd asked any Oxford fan, give them 17th at the end of that year, finishing above some big sides that were just mentioned there. Well done. I'm like, well done.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get that manager change in mid-season, because I remember at the time we were saying it's harsh, you said that and what he did, but it's that kind of judging it kind of right, knowing where your ceiling is, I suppose, for your manager, where you can take the next step. And sometimes just new ideas. I think you kind of get that sort of stale when they were thinking they needed, and there was an opportunity to take a manager that they can take. So it's a real difficult one. And so many clubs tend to get it wrong, but it really did work well for Oxford this season. And they'll be over the moon with that. And that third shirt's fire, by the way, as well. I love that third shirt.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I like the home shirt as well. Very good. Right, 16th we had Portsmouth.
Another one, like, fair play to them, because again I think they struggled at the start of the year, didn't they? Start the season to get going, and once they got going, they comfortably stayed up, didn't they? And they didn't really have to do that much to the side to change it round. They didn't really bring, I was expecting to bring a couple of season championship Premier League players or whatever, but they kept it pretty much as it was. They got a cracking player in Colby Bishop, who was a top scorer. Mentioned before regarding Oxford, home form was massively important to them. Well done to them again. We've mentioned it before. Another side who have came up and stayed up. So yeah, like I say, well done. It's just again a long hard travel to get all the way down to Portsmouth from here, but we do it.
Yeah, Pompey's they've done really well, and I know Watford had a bit of a thing with them at the Vicarage Road when Barr did his little goal celebration at the end, but and there was a bit of a anti-Watford from them, so it took me a couple of days to forgive them, but I've now calmed down. But it's an incredible story when you look at what they've been through, that football club, from where they were to what they had to go through, and as a football fan, take away your team for a minute, it's lovely. It's great to see Pompey back in the Championship, and they deserve their games against Southampton next season, home and away, because I know Pompey. I know a couple of Pompey fans, and I know they're desperate to play them and relive some of that those feelings that they haven't had for a long time. So fair play to them. Great side. Great. I love Fratton Park. I mean, it's horrible in some ways, but it's got that. It's a proper football stadium, and you can't deny that as a football fan. It's not like one of these shopping centres that you can go to now, even in the Championship. It's a proper old football ground. So yeah, fair play to them. I fancy them to do even better next season. I fancy them to push on a bit mid-table, but we'll see. But yeah, no, all credit to them. Absolutely brilliant.
And fair play to them for keeping hold of Mousinho as well. It could have been easy to start when they were struggling, and he's the right man for us. And he's come up with the goods, hasn't he? Turned Fratton Park into a fortress. So
he has done really well.
I can tell you, sat in Southampton, that the feeling from people I know is almost as mutual as Portsmouth for that rivalry. I'm telling you, they've been on it. That's the only thing they've been pleased that they wanted to go down earlier, because once Portsmouth was secured in the Championship, like, just send us down now. Yeah. It's going to be carnage. That
it will be. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it'll be great.
Right, 15th we have QPR.
Oh. Where do I start with this lot? Yeah, West. Well, on paper, on geography, this is actually our local derby next season, QPR, which I couldn't care less about. But another one of those teams that just that you go, QPR away, great, here we go, onto the tube and into deepest, darkest West London. Another team I think will struggle this season. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I know they had a terrible start last season. I mean, they were really under it, and credit where it's due. They turned that around in the end. But I don't know. I just think there's something underlying there that's not quite right, and the proof will be in the pudding in terms of transfers and what they do in the summer. But I think they need a lot, and I just think they might struggle this season a little bit. QPR, we've got them pretty early on next season. It's always a good game. I've already had so many text messages about, we're coming up to Watford and blah blah blah, and yeah, look forward to it. Stripy Nigels, God bless them. But we're Yeah. It's a good game. What for QPR? It's utter nonsense. All the youth turn up for a game that they consider to be a derby because we're about 15 miles apart. You try and walk from Watford to QPR, it'll take you about 9 days. That's how ridiculous it is. But yeah, no. For me, they've done well to come back from where they were at the beginning of the season, but I do fancy them to struggle again next season, unfortunately.
Yeah. Losing the gaffer, it's Fuentes, isn't it? That's how you pronounce it. It's quite weird, isn't it? Or he was a good gaffer him. He did well, didn't he? Like not last season before, because they were going on a terrible run, and he kind of steadied the ship. And I thought he did all right last year, but he got rumoured with a job. Did he get rumoured with Southampton, and then they put him on garden and leave, and then he never got anywhere. So it was quite weird. But yeah, another one. All I can remember about QPR last year, we played them on our last game of the season, where, as anyone who would have watched this podcast, when we'd lost to Leeds, we went into playoff mode. We just played like played like a half a team, give some young ones a chance to start and the other. And I can remember it was my birthday weekend. And I was late getting into the ground, so I just couldn't be bothered. Stood in the queue to go in, went in, we're getting beat. I was like, oh, so just go. And it was just, but they literally celebrate as if they won the FA Cup when they beat us. And it was like, well, finished 15th. Well, never mind. Hey ho. But they have got big bad Jimmy Dunn, who keeps on scoring goals for them. So, and Dan would be happy because he's an ex-Burnley lad, ex-Sunderland lad. So, but no.
Ryan said that they're actually his dark horse for next season.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'll be honest, Ryan. I'd be really surprised. But football is a strange old thing. But I don't know what it is. I just think QPR that there's something not quite right, even with the ownership. The manager that they just appointed, they appointed him really late. Just seems a bit, just something's not quite right there.
Right.
Oh,
who do we get to talk about this one? So 14th, we have Watford.
Here we go. Where do we start here? Well, firstly, the third kit we wore once, but it is excellent. That purple one.
It is very nice.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah. Well, look, let's start from the top. Tom Cleverley, he's a great coach, great manager. He'll do great at Plymouth. We've already covered that. Wasn't backed by the ownership at Watford. Watford are going through a period of change at the moment, and Gino Pozzo, the owner, who also owns Udinese in Italy, for anyone that didn't know, is trying to sell Udinese to pay off a rather large debt that he's acquired over in Spain. And there's also quite heavy links and rumours that he's also looking to sell Watford fairly sharpish. However, he doesn't want to sell us in the Championship because it writes off quite a lot of what he deems the club to be worth. So he's actually looking to sell us in the Premier League. So if you really want an outside bet on Watford to get promoted this season. Do I think it'll happen? No. But there's a lot of influx of players coming in early. There's rumours of money being spent, which hasn't happened in a long time at Watford since the Premier League days. And we're obviously we've changed manager again, which isn't unusual. We change managers like I change underpants. It's just a daily occurrence. But the chap that we've got in this time, it's only a year's contract. Read into that what you will. He's managed at World Cups and so forth. Last season we needed goals, and we had Bayo that you've got there, 10 goals. I can honestly tell you, I don't know how he got 10 goals. He was one of the worst players I've ever seen in a Watford shirt. Generally, he scored. I went away to Sheffield Wednesday and he scored 4, and I couldn't believe what was happening. I thought somebody had slipped something into my drink. I thought I was hallucinating or something. It really was a weird one, but thankfully he's gone. Watford are a team next season. If we keep hold of players like Chekfadadze, Barr, and we add strikers to the squad, I promise you we'll be contenders. We'll be playoff. Probably. If we lose those players, we will struggle, and we will be down there with Preston and probably QPR. So it really is about our transfer window, and the pressure's on the owner. It really is on the owner because he's made it pretty clear that he wants out. So it's time for Luther Blisic on the team, going old school there. It's really time for him to go. I think the fan base has had enough of it. There has to be change at the club. But I also appreciate from a business point of view that he wants to sell the club when it's worth the most, So he's got to show that by backing the manager, which he didn't do with Tom Cleverley, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'll let somebody else have an opinion on Watford, and I'll probably agree with it. So don't worry, be as offensive as you want. Go for it.
Just very quickly, you're talking about Bar. Is that Quadro Bar?
Quadro, yeah.
Yes.
He's a player. Really good player. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he was at Rochdale. Yeah.
Well.
He was, yeah. I don't know how he got... I'll be honest, I don't bump into many Rochdale fans.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, I don't know what he was like there, but he was a weird one because he was at Rochdale, Burton Albion he went to as well. And he just sort of sat around our squad and never got a chance. And then Tom Cleverley went, we got this guy. And we were like, oh my God, where have you been hiding him? He was incredible. Got injured towards the end of the last season, but he's an absolute unit. And the pace on the guy is unreal. So he's a player we need to keep hold of. But yeah, we've got a couple of good gems in there. It's whether we can... and we just made 7 or 8 million off of the... Pedro signing to Chelsea because we had a good deal with that as well. So there is money to spend, hopefully, but it really depends on our bonkers owner, what he does.
He might use that money to pay the debt off.
That won't even cover a cent for the debt. No, it's astronomical. But that, again, don't get me started on the ownership, dear God.
I will say, it was one of the most entertaining games at the stadium I liked last year with the 2-2, Luke O'Nien scoring against his former club, which was great. And then, you know what? I can remember I've been on your podcast, and you were we're going to get hammered this, that, and the other, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. Hughes came and were absolutely outstanding, especially in the second half. You're the only team, one of only teams who stopped us from playing, stopped us from doing what we did best. And we have to appreciate, Imran Low's goal just after half time was one of the best goals I've seen.
It's a great goal. Yeah, Imran's another one. He's a player that I don't think we'll keep hold of, but he's a Premier League player. Yeah. You can't deny him that. So if the club comes in and the money's right, he'll go. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, we were lucky. We were lucky to get out of that game. I think we scored in the last minute, didn't we? I think Serkin scored, didn't he? And we were really lucky to get all that because we were second half. Wasn't that we were bad, we were just second best of Watford. And I want you back where you belong. You know what I mean? Just for our friendship. You know what I mean? It's just
Well, I've had £100 at 12-1 that will win the playoffs.
Well, you'd be rich. So there we go.
Yeah.
Be able to pay that owner's debt off.
I'll be able to, I'll be able to help him at least.
Do you want me to bet on every other team in the championship so you win it?
That would be lovely if you could.
I'll do it. Just a quid.
Yeah, quid on each one. That's fine.
Exactly. Anybody else got anything to add on Watford?
You know what? We mentioned the third strip. I think all three of them tops are absolutely outstanding.
They're so nice.
All three of them.
Yeah, the second, the away one, I do like. I must admit that was that our new kit's released tomorrow. So the internet is going bonkers down here at the moment because they're all waiting to see what it's going to look like. So yeah, we'll wait for that.
Right. 13th, Norwich City.
If you wanted entertainment and goals, it's going to go to a Norwich game. That was for sure last season. Just no balance in the way that they play, I think. Basketball-esque. Attack, some really exciting players. Science Sargent goals there, but just the amount of games they threw away. Leeds and just, I thought it didn't seem to have the way to be a bit pragmatic and sort of sit off it because, 52 goals at home, ridiculous. But then only 19 away from home as well. So, interesting now. Obviously, Manning's gone in there, hasn't he? So that's a big switch up, a big change for them. But of course, they play in yellow shirts. So I'm sure the home shirt is lovely to the taste. But yeah, if you wanted over 2.5 goals, 3.5 goals, 4.5 goals, just stick that on Norwich every week, and you'd have been laughing this season. But just bonkers. That defence let them down. I think if they find some balance in the squad and they can kind of keep some of those attacking players, then they should be doing better than they're doing. But and whether Manning's the guy to do that, I think will be a really interesting season coming up for them.
They have broke my heart as well, these, by the way, because they've signed Louis Molden.
Have they?
Yeah.
Is he going to be first choice, is he?
Oh, no, not a chance. He'll probably be about third.
Really?
Hopefully they'll loan him to us, though.
Yeah.
Let's talk lovely things about Norwich.
You know what? They're another one of these teams, though, that there's going to be a few that we're coming to now, that when is it going to happen for them? You know, like they've been down for a little while now. 13th for me is a failure, especially with, you know, they've got Borja signed, so I think was top scorer in the league last year. And he missed a lot of football because he spat at Chris Mepham, the dirty so-and-so.
Well held in there, don't worry.
You know what I mean?
I'm proud.
I nearly went as well. But I thought at the start of the year, I thought like getting Thorup in was a bit of a mistake anyway. And I don't know. I just don't know with them. It's like this. We mentioned Liam Manning. Everyone will be thinking Manning should probably get them, like at least in the playoffs and stuff. But I don't know. Like they've got Josh Sargent, who is probably the best out and out striker in the league. He's like such a hard player to mark and all that stuff. But he's never fit. You know, Borja signs is just, you know, he gets goals and all that, but he's likely to like roll around injured freaking half the game anyway. And I just don't know with them. I think it's a big season for them because it's to a point now where you're thinking, if it's not this season, when is it going to be? Is it going to be one where we're talking about them in 5 years' time when they're still there? I don't know. It's another one where the owners have just got to start and maybe have a big push at it. Getting Manning in's a good start, to be fair. Like
yeah. Very good. Right. 12. We have Sheffield Wednesday. So should we all do a come on Wednesday?
Come on Wednesday.
Oh, you know what? Again, I'll start on these because I quite like Sheffield. I prefer them to the other Sheffield side. Sorry, Johnny, but I do. I've always had a soft spot for Sheffield. I think what's going, we've mentioned, a lot of us have mentioned owners, haven't we, today? That man needs to get out of that club as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And
let the fans have a club, you know, and, you know, I've been on Hillsborough a few times. It's still one of the, I wouldn't say nicest, but one of the most iconic stadiums I've been to. Please just leave, just sod off and let them have the club back. You know what I mean? They've got one of the best managers outside the Premier League in Danny Rowe. Such a good manager, such a good coach. And the fact that the fact that he got them to 12th this year is a miracle. You know, considering what they've gone through and stuff like that, and he gets them playing wonderful football, and he is still just going on and saying he's going to sell, but he wants to find the right owner or this, that, and the other. He's not the right owner to begin with. So, and for a club as you know, Chef Wed in stature of a Premier League side, as a fan base of a Premier League side, a stadium of the Premier League side, what's letting them down? Owner. So sod off and let them have the club back. As far as the season's gone, I think that's, like I say, a really, really good season considering he's had his hands tied behind his back and gotten to 12th. So well done to Danny Roll, and wherever Danny Roll ends up, because it won't be there next season, wherever he ends up and what he does really, really well, because he's a really, really good manager and he's a solid bloke off the pitch. I met him after we played them last year and he was absolutely brilliant with me, so fair play to him.
Yeah. Basket case of a club at the moment. What's going off off the pitch, and if that isn't sorted, obviously very quickly, and I mean very quickly, they are banging trouble, which is unfortunate. Again, another club. They're a huge side, fan base, and obviously another Sheffield club, but things have got to change there pretty quickly because. If not, it could affect the existence is what we're talking about at Sheffield Wednesday, which is unthinkable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. definitely. One thing as a Sunderland kind of perspective looking at them, Eliza Mayenda loved playing Sheffield last year. He scored 4 goals in 2 games against them. and then obviously he loved playing Sheffield teams actually because we all know what happened in the playoff final. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're just one of them clubs where I think a lot of people have got soft spots for them, haven't they? And it's just. Well, you know, we mentioned obviously we had this Twitter space last night with Morecambe and what's going on down there, and this is such a close thing as well, where some madman who shouldn't be anywhere near a football club's allowed to do that is wrong. And there you go.
Was that meant to be? Don't remind me, Anne. Don't remember me, Anne.
I'll be reminding him in about 8 positions time. So,
and I think everyone remembers you, Johnny. Anybody want to add anything else on Sheffield Wednesday before we move on?
No, it's just a testament to how long Danny Rose stuck it out. I think is down to get to that position. Like I think it was linked to the Southampton job a little while ago, as well as Simon said about Coventry too. So yeah, where he ends up, he'll be better off, and they'll be better off for it too. But you worry for Wednesday if they don't. If this doesn't change soon, then there's real trouble.
Yeah, and then as Graham's just put there, it's a 3-window embargo now.
Yeah. So
they can't sign anybody. They only sign on frees and this, that, and the other. I mean, what more magic has he got to conjure up? He's going to run out, you know what I mean? And apparently he hasn't showed up for pre-season, so he's obviously aware. He's only got a £3.5 million release clause in his contract, which I think that's like buying money in it. If any club in the Championship who need a manager, I mean, just look no further because he's done wonders for them.
11th position, we had Swansea City.
How?
It's a shocker, isn't it? That's a shocker they got that high. It is. Yeah, God knows. Not even sure about that one. But yeah, look, they've done what they've done. But they're an odd side, Swansea. You know, you look at them sometimes and you think like seasons that have gone past previously, and you go, fancy him this year, fancy him to get up there, and then they just do the opposite, and they flirt with the bottom of the league. And then last season, they'll flirt with the bottom of the league, and they've finished comfortably mid-table. It's weird old side. Hate going there. It's too far.
It's so far.
It's so far. Doesn't matter. Even if you live in Wales, it's still far. It's stupid. But yeah. I don't know. That is a team for me that has got mid-table all over it. Just the same again. Does what it says on the tin. I don't find them boring. Does that say? Yeah, it's bad. I know it is bad. I shouldn't say it about another team, but yeah, I just find them. They just tick along. You don't really notice them, and then you go, "How the hell have they finished 11th?" on things like this.
Yeah. I think Sheehan did a really good job, didn't he, at the end of last season, coming in for Williams, and they're taking to him, I think, and maybe they're trying to, as I said, the Swansea, I remember, think when they were back in the Premier League, they were exciting, that's what they were. They were hard working, and but they had something about them, and they kind of lost that a bit. And then I think on top of that as well, Grimes going in January was a sort of big kick into them as well. So 11th is almost an incredible finish, really, when you think of it.
I remember them being near the bottom at some point, so he's obviously doing a cracking job. It's just
they were flirting with relegation. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it's just completely passes by. I've just had to double check there because I know we beat them 3-2 at their place because that was probably the kind of real turnaround for us, thinking we've got a good chance here. And we played them on the 12th of April at home. We got beat 1-0. Ben Cabango scored, and I honestly cannot tell you anything about that game. Cannot tell you what happened in that game, and I was probably there. I just cannot remember anything about that football match. So that's how quickly that's erased out of my head, to be honest.
What? Damn, I miss Sheffield United and we've not got Sheffield United yet.
No,
we're not there yet, mate. We will be
soon. Simon has put as well, there must be something going on behind the scenes because the captain, who barely missed a game in 10 years, suddenly decided he wanted to leave from us.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah.
Right. I tell you what, we're getting through these really quick. Dan needs to hurry up. I will just say nasty things about Burnley.
If he just turns up for Burnley, I'm not letting him on. I'm shutting the door. He's got to come for at least Sheffield United. That's the.
I know.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
10th position, we had Middlesbrough.
The Smoggies. Yeah, they're a team for me, and I think the reason Carrick did get the sack is because he's never quite got them there. He's never quite got over the line with Middlesbrough. And they're you know, I know Ant's going to disagree with this, but they are a fairly decent, a big side in terms of the football club. You know, not compared to probably the surrounding Sunderland and Newcastle, but for that area. And Carrick's he's been given a lot of time, and you know you've heard time and time again about the ownership at Middlesbrough, how good they are. You know, they give their managers time. They even, to be fair, throw money at it as well. So I think a 10th position this season was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. They weren't involved in the playoffs. They weren't pushing for promotion. It was a mid-table nothing season. So they've had to roll. They've rolled the dice, and I'm generally, and I'm not saying this because of the Luton connection or Watford connection, I'm generally shocked and surprised that they've given Rob Edwards that job. Yeah. Because if you look back at Rob Edwards' career, even when he was at Forest Green, got them promoted, but he had an absolute torrid time towards the end of the league, and they stuttered over the line. They just got there towards the end of the season. When I saw him at Watford, after about 5 or 6 games, and he only had 11 to be fair, but 5 or 6 games, I went, this guy's struggling. He hasn't got a plan B. He's playing defender, he's playing, square pegs in round holes. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You've got to mix it up. So, and I think that's what caught him out at Luton. And the reason I say this is that he took on a Luton side in the Championship and got them promoted, but didn't change anything. He made no tactical changes whatsoever. It was the same Luton side that was with the previous manager, who we'll probably get onto. But he didn't change anything. So he got to the Premier League, and they had a go, and they were battling performances and so forth. But that's why they got relegated, because he got found out, and Luton made the mistake of keeping hold of him. And I personally think, and if there's any Middlesbrough fans on here, I personally think this is a downgrade on Michael Carrick.
I do as well.
Yeah, and he's a beautiful looking man. He's a lovely, and he looks great in a suit, and fantastic for the ladies. But as a football manager, I think he's peaked too early in his career. I think he's been given an opportunity too quickly, and that came at Watford. So I'll be surprised if Middlesbrough are involved in any promotion chase next season. I really will.
It dropped away for them, didn't it? And I think they said they went on a sticky patch. Latte Lath went as well, didn't he? He was their go-to guy back in last season and the start of the season. So it's Carrick's first manager job, so I like the fact they gave him time, as an ex-United man, seeing how he did. But, he learned under the trade of Ollie Solskjaer, so there wasn't going to be a lot of tactics. He was probably going to be picking from that time, to be fair. Yeah. I think the same thing. I think he did a good job. And it's one of those, isn't it? That they did fault on what they were expecting to do. They've taken a chance with Edwards and see where it goes. And it'll be interesting to see what Carrick might do sort of going off the end of it. But it's probably a case of where they're probably sat there a little bit salty too. Sunderland going up won't sit well, I would imagine. As well as these Geordie rivals as well in the Premier League. So Middlesbrough probably feeling a little bit left out at the moment. So and I don't think that's going to change next season.
Seeing that a lot across the leagues. It's like AFC Wimbledon getting promoted, and now MK Dons are splashing all the cash.
Yeah. Trying to get back up. Yeah.
I'm just trying my hardest not to look smug, and I'm feeling badly. I agree with everything both Sam and Carl have said. Yeah. I think Edwards is a downgrade. I don't think Middlesbrough fans will be very happy with his style of football for a start, because they used to, as much as you can say bad about Michael Carrick, he probably did feel there. He did have them playing some nice stuff. But for me, they're probably my biggest disappointments of the season. Where the team they had, the players they had, I was expecting them to be in the top 6, and they were nowhere near really. Even like the 10, but they were miles behind. Behind. And I know there was a question early on. We did the double. We certainly did. We don't normally win down the Riverside, and we won down the Riverside, and they're just a shell at the minute. And the problem is we mentioned Norwich a few positions ago. Borough have been down in the Championship for a long old time now. And we're asking that question again, when's it going to be? I can't say it being next season for a start, because I think there's just too many teams that are better and teams that are going to spend a lot more money than what they're going to spend. Yeah.
You did well holding a laugh in for that long.
You did. I'm proud of you, man. Well done.
Do you know what they call it? It's like what Carl mentioned before about Watford and QPR. The friggin' Borough aren't a derby. Borough is just another game on a Saturday. Borough were a game on a Saturday afternoon, and Borough were a game on a Tuesday night. It just goes to say what it all means about a derby game, because there's no chance I'll have Sunderland versus Newcastle on a Tuesday night or a Saturday 3:00. So that's all you've got to say about that rivalry with Borough. It's just non-existent.
I feel like that way with Oldham. I'm joking.
Just to answer David Gregson's question at the bottom there, yes, we have, and we relegated both of them. So there you go. But yeah, we have a few times, to be fair. We have a few times. We've been up there together.
Right, 9th position we had West Brom. I sounded really northern then. We had. I know. We had West Brom. I sound posh now. Well,
another disappointment for me, but it all stemmed on Carlos Corberán getting a really, really good job in Spain. And I think what West Brom did, what was probably wrong, was going after Tony Mowbray, because it was obviously his first job back after having cancer, and thank God he's recovered and everything like that, because I mean, I love Tony Mowbray a bit, you know what I mean? But he went there and Tony Mowbray's got one style of football, and it is, we're going to attack, we're going to play a fast attacking football, and I don't care about what happens at the back. And I think that that style now is probably, I think clubs have kind of got used to it, and it just didn't work. It really didn't work down there. And obviously Josh Madger getting 12 goals, class for him, but he's always injured. He's another one of that, like your Josh Sargent's this world, that he's just always injured. He never has a good run of games. And the Hawthorns is normally quite a daunting place to go, and it just wasn't last year. They drew too many games, they weren't winning enough, and their away form was absolutely shambolic. So yeah, just disappointing. You would have expected them to be in the playoffs, especially with how well Corberán did, but I think their season ended when Corberán got the was it Villarreal or Valencia you went to?
He went to Valencia, yeah.
That was probably their season over there.
And I think, as you said, Ant, like with Josh Madger, those 12 goals came the first half of the season. He was out from January. That was a huge thing, as you said. You just can't stay fit. And it was kind of, I do a prediction league, and it's like West Brom draw, West Brom draw, West Brom draw, and you're guaranteed a point almost every sort of other week. It's just kind of sort of where they sit, what they do. As you said, the Tony Mowbray, it didn't work, and again probably underachieved again, but they seem to be consistently underachieving.
Yeah, it was underwhelming last season, and I think they struggled with obviously what happened with Tony Mowbray. I think that really dented their season off the pitch. One thing I will say, I think the appointment of Ryan Mason is a positive one. I'm going to have them as we're good friends with Nigel Gibbs, who's a former Watford player who was at Tottenham with Ryan, and he's now gone in as his assistant. So speak to Nigel quite often. He's really excited, telling me that there is something there at the club this season. So I'm going to tip them to actually go for promotion this season. Nice. I think they might get something there, and they've got a good solid squad that they pretty much kept together. Players that know around that have been there a while. So it'll be interesting for me for West Brom next season. I think making the Hawthorns a really difficult place to go and play football again is key to that. And obviously, look, from last season, they've got to improve that away form. You're not going to be in anywhere near the playoffs promotion with 4 wins in an away away form like that. So there's lots to do, lots to change, but I think West Brom will do all right next season.
Just having a quick. Oh, Glenn says can't see West Brom finishing above Birmingham and Coventry.
Yeah, but see, Birmingham for me, I think Birmingham will do all right, but I don't know if they'll take on the Championship as much as people. It's the same with Wrexham. I think that step up is Birmingham. Signings wise, have done very well and spent money, but they've got to probably go and do that again to be involved in what they're talking about. Look, I think Birmingham will be absolutely fine, but I'd be surprised if they were pushing in the playoffs and Wrexham. Just because of the media and everything that goes around them, I hope they have a terrible season for once. Just once in all those years, they've had a great time. I just want them to have one bad season. Come on.
I think they've got to properly overhaul that squad, properly overhaul it at Wrexham, because they've got a lot of seasoned pros on there. Got a lot of them have joined them in League Two. I think Stephen Fletcher's definitely about your James McLean's and your players like that who are not good enough anymore for the Championship. That's why they dropped the League Two. So obviously, without going too much into a preview show, and Mr. Millhouse is here. I'll add him in. There he is. Oh shit, no, I didn't. There he is. But yeah, just. I don't think I agree about Birmingham. I can't see Birmingham doing that well, but yeah, hopefully West Brom. I like West Brom as well, so yeah. Dan's joined us for the glory moments now. He's missed you, Preston.
He's been so long.
There we are. Top 8.
He's just getting involved in the top 8. Yeah, fair play.
You've been so long, Dan. I thought you'd been relegated from the Premier League already.
You know what it's like when you're having to sign a new contract and you've got all the goal bonuses you've got to iron out and things like that. No, it's just been a hectic day. Been in Leeds, been down at the turf, trying to sort things out with plans for the future, and then I'm here, like I said in the thing, just overstimulated, tired, and ready to rock. Put a smile on my face. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Millwall 8.
I won't lie. Millwall surprised me actually this year. Surprised me massively this year. When we took Fleming from them, I thought their source of goals weren't going to really come from anywhere. Fleming played in that 9 role for them and still did pretty well. A position he actually hasn't played at Burnley all season. But yeah, they've really overachieved massively. And like I said, the fact they were so close to, being in the playoffs is massive. Absolutely massive for them. So they'll be wanting to build on this success this season. And you know what? Fair shout.
Yeah, Millwall were unlucky, and I think that the manager change, Neil Harris, wasn't doing too great. And and if you go back, and we were obviously today we were talking at the start of this about losing players. Obviously what's happened today in Millwall, the start of last season, lost their goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You go right back to that, and that could have really turned their season. It could have been, all sorts. But they've had an incredible season, and the one thing they did was make the Den a horrible, and it is. Don't get me wrong. I was going to say
it is before
it is. Yeah, it is. It's a horrible place to go as an away supporter. It's a horrible place to play as an away team, and that's what they're good at. And under Alex Neil, who I do rate, I know he's had a couple of bumps in the road in certain teams he's played for, but managed. Sorry, I think he's got something there, and I think if they can add a little bit of quality to that side, they might just go again. But it's a tough old season next season, as we just were talking about the teams coming up and so forth. So all to play for Millwall, and I think they'll be more than comfortable. yeah, had a fantastic season last season, especially with how they started with losing their goalkeeper.
This made me laugh from Graham.
Horrible ground, horrible. It's just the most. It is intimidating. I don't care. You know, we've all got places around us that you go. I won't go around walking around there by myself. But yeah, the Isle of Dogs is not a place you go wandering, especially in expecting any football shirt. To be fair, actually saying that, I wouldn't even go around in a Millwall shirt.
No.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
These Charlton fans are salty. Look at the comments.
Yeah, that's a horrible game, Charlton. But if it makes you feel better, Charlton's a shithole as well. Oh, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that.
No, it's fine. Don't you worry.
Yeah,
call it. I like that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Charlton's an absolute doggo. I've been there a few times, and it's a horrible place to get to as well. So hopefully that makes you feel better, Charlton fans. And we'll see you first game of the season.
I just wish it was another manager who did really well other than that bald-headed prick.
I've started something now, haven't I? Here we go.
You know how much I dislike that man.
About to tell you, we've got an all about episode soon with Alex Neil. If you want to come on with us,
we've got him on as a guest. I'll tell you what, I'll not be on this podcast. That's for sure. Christ almighty. Never mind. Again, who's had the last laugh?
This is from Graham as well. Whereas Watford is such a dream place to live.
Costa del Watford, thank you, Graham.
It's lovely. I had a family portrait done in it's still in my grandparents' house, and it's beautiful, Graham. That's all I can say about Watford.
There you go. See, thank you.
I'm not going to get involved in this conversation because where I live is a bit.
I've been to Hayward.
Not as bad as Rochdale, but we'll give it back. But Rochdale has a great chippy, so it's like. 7th, we have Blackburn Rovers. Ooh. Dan, would you like to talk about Blackburn Rovers?
He's gone.
Technical. Don't know what's shit hole. you know. I'll tell you what. Jokes aside, massively back end of the season. Valeria and Ishmael changed their fortunes. Everyone thought he's come in. Went on a 6-game unbeaten run. Literally, I think they were even in the playoffs on the final day for a little.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
moment. Yeah. So next season we'll see what they can do. But clear to see Eustace had quite an input there in the way they started the campaign.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that a manager jump ship from a playoff. They were a playoff team when he left as well to join a nigh on relegated Derby. It was so weird. But everything at Blackburn's weird. Fans, players, stadium. Yeah, you know what? Fair play to them. I'll give them some credit. They probably surprised a lot of people last year with the players that they signed as well. Andy Varman probably, I thought at Bristol City were back end of his days. And pulled out probably one of the goals of the season against us. So fair play, but like I said, they've even all jumped ship to Derby for next season. You know, Danny Bath has gone, as has Andy Varman. He's sort of poached everyone that's helped him, and let's see what they can do. It's all well and good winning 6 games towards the end of the season, but there's a lot that goes on behind closed doors in the offices at Blackburn. I think with the women's team as well.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of issues there.
It's the Venkies, isn't it? Is it still the ownership?
Yeah, it is. It is the god awful chicken farmers.
That's it. Yeah.
I won't piss on them if they're on fire. Enjoy it.
Big issue next season with Blackburn is, and Glenn's just put in there, the spine of their side's gone. You know, Danny Bath, Danny Bath, who left Sunderland to go closer to home and then went to Blackburn, which didn't make sense because he's from the Midlands. But he's got Derby now, so he's getting closer to that, homecoming.
It's made me laugh. I'm sorry, not really made me laugh.
The biggest loss for them is Tyree Stone. Because had we not gone up, he would have been the first player on my list to have signed, because he was out both games we played against. I went down to Blackburn for it was a Boxing Day game, and then obviously the beat us at home, and again we just didn't care. Tyrese Dolan was outstanding in both them games, and wherever he goes, if he goes to like a top 6, top 8 side, I would make them one of my favourites to go up, because I thought he was that good against us, and in a really good side he'll be brilliant. But yeah, fair. You're right again about him. Like a good start, and then when Eustace left, Ishmael seemed a cheap option, didn't he? And then he struggled to begin with, but then right at the end, they came alive again and only just missed out, which shows you how wild that league was last season. But never mind.
It was when you can remember the prediction shows. I think it was at the time when Blackburn hadn't signed anybody either, and Smodic was off to Ipswich, and we were going, "Oh, this looks a real worry for them." And then they pulled off some really good kind of late signings that helped them, and they had that incredible start. And but yeah, it seems like the cycle of madness behind the scenes has come round again, and we'll be talking the same probably when we get to the predictions this year.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't see him having another season in 7th. I think it'll be another consolidated staple of the Championship sort of club, 10th, 11th, 12th for next year. But fair enough. I'll give them the due. The one compliment I will give them is that they overachieved last season.
Also, Johnny's got a bone to pick with you, Dan. You
Which
had
one?
You had one job. One job.
Oh, I know. And Johnny got it.
One job.
The ownership is absolute dross.
Yeah. 6th position, we had Bristol City.
Yeah,
We appreciate that away top, by the way. Outstanding.
Yeah. They were one of the best footballing sides I saw last season, especially at their place. And they took a hammering, didn't they, in the playoffs? After that first leg, you knew that was game, set, and match, and they just didn't have enough to get over the line. I rate the manager. I think he's got something. They could just add a little bit more class to that side. I think they've got a chance to go again and push on. But again, as we said before, next season is going to be a chaos, isn't it? With the teams coming down and even the teams coming up this season, it makes for a proper difficult season. So be interested to see how Bristol City approach it. But yeah, as I say, one of the best footballing sides I saw home and away last season. Apart from Burnley, of course, they were excellent.
Yeah,
well said.
You mentioned that Liam and Claire's just putting in there. I mean, considering the heartbreak, we've talked about heartbreak, haven't we already?
Yeah.
Considering the heartbreak that he had to get them there, absolute miracle. And yeah, it came unstuck for them in the playoffs, but no one would have had them in their top 6. Nobody, and unless probably maybe even a Bristol City fan probably would have went, nah, you know what I mean? But they made Ashton Gate a fortress, and it got them there. It got them over the line. Fair play to them for doing it. They've obviously Liam Manning's now gone, which it'll be huge for them. But they've got Gerhard Struber in, haven't they? Yeah, and that's quite a shrewd bit of business, that, because I think he's all right him. So we'll see what happens with them. I don't think they'll be in the playoffs again next year, because I just think the league's so much more competitive next season from what it has been this one. I just think there's just going to be too many teams who have disappointed last year who won't disappoint this year, and obviously you've got the two big guns coming up, and I know we haven't mentioned Charlie, but you also got the teams coming down. It probably will be a bit too much of an ask, I think. But no, what a great season! They don't want to be really, really proud of themselves, to be fair.
Yeah. 5th, we have Coventry City. Sam, do you want to take this?
as I'm immensely popular amongst some of the Coventry fan base. To be fair, I actually like Coventry. I've always liked Coventry, and I like the way they play. They seem to have more of an issue with me about something or other. Who knows? but it's all right.
Graham's got it spot on.
VAR
And
FC.
Ant was going controversial within this season, so maybe he's taken the mantra over. I don't know, but cut your toenails, kids. That's all I can say. No, to be fair, yeah. I mean, Coventry. I think it worked better with Lampard than a lot of people were kind of expecting. It clicked well for them. Really good home form. They're exciting to watch when they're at it.
VAR.
Graham, outrageous. Can't believe you're talking about that game, Graham. Go on, no one remembers it.
That's very angry Robins.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say with Robins going, there was all that they weren't happy, were they? It was a really sort of tumultuous time for them, and then the fact that they got Lampard in, question marks from a number of people, but I think he's done a decent job there, but the pressure will be on this season, doesn't it? The expectation is there. The expectations were there this season, wasn't it, really? You know, they were expected to do better. And had they not had that bad start, then potentially they could have been up challenging around kind of maybe where Sunderland were. But ultimately they fell short, didn't they, in the playoffs? Because I don't know who beat them in the semi-finals, but somebody did.
Yeah, it was us.
The thing is with Coventry as well, they seem to do well after losing big players as well.
Yeah.
But they lost. Who was it? Sheffield United.
Go see him.
Oh,
Well, two of them, Hamer and
Hamer. Yeah.
O'Hare as well.
Yeah.
You know, and two absolutely brilliant midfielders in their own right. And they somehow still managed to come up trumps. So it's decent. Like I say, you can't fault the job that Frank Lampard has done in turning their fortunes around. They were going about their business silently as well. No one looked at what Coventry were doing. I think we said it one week. We were looking at the tables and we went, where have Coventry come from?
Yeah.
But out of the blue, they were just there. So yeah, fair shout to the job that they've done there. And obviously they've had their hard times recently as well, you know, the stadium and stuff like that. So as much as half of their fans can be a bit sour and bitter, Sam's words, quote, no, I think obviously the good times will come back to Coventry at some point.
Oh, Graham.
You'll get in trouble, Graham.
I'm going to get us into trouble.
I mean, it's not me tonight. Graham's where you need to put your
Graham's the
energy.
one.
Graham's causing trouble again.
I'll tell you what, the signing of that Kessler Hayden as well that they've made for next season.
Yeah,
he had an outstanding campaign at Preston last year.
Yeah. But
he's done well though, Lampard, hasn't he? But to be fair, when Frank Lampard came in, I was like, is it going to work? Because automatically, and you see obviously where he's been before, and I think, is it going to be another big name, but can do it obviously as a manager? But no, prove me wrong completely.
Pressure's on him next season though.
It 100%.
100% it is. Do you know what? I don't want to. No, I'm not gonna say it. But my issue is with Coventry, apart from the age old one, but it is. I think Lampard's done a fantastic job. I really do. But the problem being is, and the same, you probably talked about Bristol City and Millwall. We just went over Bristol City and Millwall as well, right? There was so many teams last year, and I've said this 3 or 4 times now, who underachieved. In Coventry, for me, at the start of the season, I remember we did the start of the season preview, and I think a lot of us have said they'll go up. And I think I might have been one of them. And it just the need to start seasons better, and the excuses of I think it was the year before, the pitch and all that, and this one, Robins has done this, Robins has done that. They still haven't gone up. And yes, you can talk about the playoffs all you want, that they hammered us and all that, which they didn't. They just had more of the ball. You know what I mean? Down at their place, both sides had 2 shots on target. We scored both of ours. So that's irrelevant. And the home one, yes, for the second half, they were outstanding, and they got the goal, they deserved the goal.
Yeah.
But as soon as it went into extra time, he made 3 changes which just didn't make sense. And we brought on Romain Mundell, and I think we brought another lad on. I can't remember now. But we looked as if there was going to be another goal in the game, which it didn't look like until Ballard headed it in. We were the ones who were going to get it. And that's why I just don't get it, because Lampard said at the end of it, well, we're battered them for 2 games, and we really should be in the final. I'm really disappointed. I didn't see that, and I might be biased, you know what I mean? But I just didn't see that. I didn't see that. I thought it was Register Brie doing a tactical masterclass on them in the first leg, and in the second leg, like I said, they were outstanding. But when that went in extra time, because Hadji Wright missed an absolute sitter in the last couple of minutes. When that went in extra time, I was so confident we were going to go through. So I just didn't see it. And that's the only thing that I've got a little bit bad at. It was just a little bit bitter afterwards. And was it because it was us? Possibly. But hey, but they've just got to start seasons better. And the big thing for Coventry during this summer is they have got to keep hold of Jack Rodone, because
100%.
he will be massively thought about in a lot of sides. And he is a very, very good footballer.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Definitely.
The good news, Ant, is they won't hold it over you for long. It tends to disappear, the saltiness.
You know what? We could be talking in 12 months' time, and they've overtook us and this, that, and the other. And fair play to them if they have, but it's, it's just...
You said it wrong, Dan. You're supposed to say, VAR took us.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to be getting on to, us next, because we are next, aren't we? But it is literally just, it was meant to be for us last year. With said before, we beat Borough, and we've not beat Coventry for as long as I've been alive. I can't remember beating Coventry, and there we go. And that's the way it was meant to be. But hey, well.
So, yes, next we do have Sunderland. They finished in 4th, but they were the playoff winners. Anne, take it away.
I'll be very, very quick, because obviously we did the playoff review, and I did a lot of it there. I think the season started really well, and this is such a small. Well, I say it's such a small thing, but it's something that happened off the pitch, and it was getting Hummel back. Because Hummel, for everyone of my age, every fan of my age, is the kit sponsor. You just remember getting your first top was Hummel. Like my first Sunderland top was that 1992 one, the second one, the white one. That was my first ever Sunderland top. So I remember that top. And the fact they brought that back was just mental. And I thought all 3. I'm obviously wearing the 3rd strip here. I thought all 3 strips were beautiful, and they all 3 had like meanings. You know what I mean? Like the colliery that's imprinted on this. And they've done it again actually with the blue on here. But we brought in Reggie, who no one had heard of. Start the season really, really well. Went on a really good run. We were top of the league for a long time. Brought in some magnificent footballers. And what Reggie's done, and we mentioned, Carl mentioned about Bar down at Watford. We brought in Eliza Mayenda, who started the season up front, and he was at Hibs under 23s last year because Tony Mowbray and Michael Beale and Mike Dodds didn't fancy him. So he ended up going to Hibs, couldn't get a game under 23s, and has turned into an absolutely top quality footballer under Reggie's tutelage and guidership and stuff. And we brought in Wilson, who, I love Wilson to bits. He's done so well. A lot of them have done well. Joe Bellingham, I can go on forever about him. Just what a footballer, and he's gone, and he's gone to Dortmund, and he's absolutely hammering in the World Club Cup at the minute. So well done.
Can't about that, and Sergio Ramos, remember last week?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But what got us over the line was that home form. It doesn't look the best on paper. But we mentioned the whole game. The whole game was like late February, early March, and we hadn't lost. And when what Reggie did, we went and played Leeds, and that was like the big game for us. That was if we beat Leeds, we fancied us for top 2, and we lost. and Reggie went into literally like like kind of self-preservation mode, where he'd said, right, we're going to go for the playoff. We're going to he pretty much stopped the season and went, we're going to give other players a chance. We're going to give, like, you know, there was like got Harrison Jones, who hadn't played for us, who got a few games. He gave all the squad a game. And, you know, Tommy Watson, who went to Brighton, you know, he'd signed for Brighton like in March or something like that. And it would have been easy for him to go, right, you're not going to be in my squad anymore because you're not our player. And he stuck by him. And there was a few games where Watson got a lot of stick. And we ended up on a really bad run. I think we'd lost like 6 out of our last 7, or it might have been 7 out of our last 7. It was something like that. And everyone writ us off in that playoffs. Everyone had written us off, apart from Regis Debris and Sunderland fans who were like, well, you know, we know we're a good side. And I've mentioned the Coventry stuff, so I'll get that out of the way. But when we beat Coventry down at Coventry, we're like, well, we battered them, we beat them at Stein. We're like, Dan Ballard scored in the last minute, which was the greatest moment I've seen at that stadium. And I've seen some bloody good moments there. That was the best moment, and that'll not be beaten at that stadium. That was absolutely unreal. And then, but still, everyone was like, right, it's all right, because the winner of that game out with Sunderland Coventry, you're only going to get beat off Sheffield anyway. And we went there, we were underdogs down there. We started the game terribly. You know, Kiefer Miller, you know, crippling Nugo 9, and then Patterson making a really, really good save beforehand. We went 1-0 down. But Reggie again made his subs at the right time, brought on Patrick Roberts, who was unbelievable, brought on, as mentioned, Tommy Watson. Eliza Mayina scores an absolute quality goal. And then in the last minutes, the player who's leaving to go to Brighton, who's a Sunderland lad, Sunderland fan at heart, his last kick for the club puts us in the Premier League. You cannot write the season we've had. You cannot write them 3 games. Is like Roy of the Rovers stuff. It is stuff that is written about. It doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen to Sunderland, but it did. And that was the kind of season we went on. We went on like games where we hadn't beat Borough for years. We beat Borough. I think there was a couple of games where we were like, we've never beaten these teams and we beat them. You know what I mean? And that was just because there was never say die attitude with the side and with the manager and obviously with the, you know, director of football who knew what he was doing and brought the right players at the right time. So I'm just so excited. I'm so excited now. You know, we mentioned before, like we've signed a couple of players this week, and you know, obviously Job Gordon's going to leave a massive hole. It really is. But I'm very, very confident going into next season. I'm quietly confident anyway. But I think we'll be okay.
The money you're spending. I mean, the rumored fees you're spending for players. Like there's 2 ways of looking at it. I'm like, yes. The fact that you're snatching players from Leeds just shows, you know, who's got the upper hand. However, I look at as a club that has been there and tried to spend money under company and throw money at it. Sometimes it's not. It as a fan, it builds you up, but then when the expectancy of the season comes along, it almost cripples you as well because you're thinking we've spent this much on that.
Yeah.
And just to finish off, I think Wilson Isidore should have had 14 goals, but
he should have done, shouldn't he? Without going into, you know, preview shows this and the other, because we'll save that for another time. But we've been given a very good start to the season next year, and we need to start well because we've got a December where we're not good. Well, apart from Newcastle, I don't, because we'll beat them. But apart from that, we've got a horrid December. So we need to start well. We've been given a good start. We need to start well. But no, like it just eradicated the nightmare of 2 years ago where we lost to Luton, where we didn't have a fit defender or a fit striker. And I think we would have gone up that year anyway. But, you know, I'm just over the moon. He's done such a good job. And it's just nice to be, after this time last year where I was a miserable man with Michael Beale and all that stuff, for like what 12, 13, 14 months later to see us in the Premier League, it's just mad, and I'm just so happy. There we go. Go to Sheffield United now.
Oh, Johnny, get ready. Sheffield United, they finished in 3rd.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a clip in itself. I love that. Unlucky.
Right. Are we going to all agree that that's a failure? Like,
it's a massive failure.
money they spent.
Yeah, it's a
You have
massive
brought
failure.
in an ex-manager who you didn't trust in the Premier League to come in and then do a rebuild job and still didn't achieve what you have set out to achieve. That, to me, is...
It's mismanagement from the top, isn't it, at that club?
Yes. Massively.
They were top in March as well and finished 10 points off second.
Yeah. It's a
Oxford
it's a
United have a
shambles.
lot to answer for, which, I thank them immensely because they give me some brilliant weekends in the dying weekends of the Championship season. But yeah, a Wilder, I think he's been very lucky this year as well. Some of the results they got, they've just crept over the line with them. So like I say, some of the signings they made were questionable. I say even Tyrese Campbell finishing top scorer, I thought didn't really pull up trumps at Stoke. Then yet again, I look at Josh Laron at Burnley and 500k, and I thought, this is a guy back end of his 20s, and again was pretty solid. So it goes to show then that I've not got any managers' jobs lined up very soon. But no, Wilder, a lot can be said about Wilder. I think he gets a fair bit of stick, and myself included. I can't stand the
like
man.
Vince, like Simon's sitting on the fence
Yeah.
right here.
It's a good word, isn't it? Arrogant. He is arrogant.
He is.
Smug little ham face. Honestly, he does my tweeting and he proper winds me up. He is more bitter than Yorkshire bitter. He's like proper. He's thwaites without the H. That's what he is. He's such a massive one of the. I'm not holding back here, am I? I'm trying to. I'm not.
You're sitting on the fence. I think you should tell us how you really feel, Dan. To be honest.
Yeah, you got splinters.
I know, but
there's been a lot of people sitting on that fence tonight.
I know. Honestly, I've never been so squished.
Do you know what? And I've said that, like, obviously in January they went out and they bought like Ben Brereton in, who's still lying on the pitch of Wembley, by the way, with his tree hume took off. Still there. And they got Tom Cannon in, who they spent a lot of money on, and he never scored a goal. And you know what? And we're on about Wilder lost them that game at Wembley because he made like a double sub quite early on, and he took Tyrese Campbell off, who was playing well, and obviously scored the goal. And he took Ryan Brewster off as well, who was giving Dennis Serkin a torrid time. Brought Callum O'Hare on and Tom Cannon, and then they just had nothing. He was just trying to fend. Yeah. He was trying to fend that lead, and we just ended up playing through them. But I think if I was a chef, and I know they had the -2 points, this, that, and the other, but the squad on paper, that squad on paper will probably be the best squad the Championship's had that hasn't gone up.
100%.
Yes.
You know, and the amount of money they've spent and all that, and he's failed. And a lot of people are like, why have you sacked him for? He's third in the table. They've sacked him because his mantra was to get them promoted, and he's failed. So,
and it's not just that he's been in charge during all these playoff, chances where they've not really had success. I'm not going to say all of them because he hasn't, but there's in recent history he's been in control of that situation and never been successful. Going back to what Graham said about where will Wilder manage next, he strikes me as one of those sort of managers that can only do it at certain clubs.
Yeah,
that if he goes elsewhere, it's not going to really work out for him. Being linked with a Leicester job. I thought that was a bit of a weird one, but I don't know. Maybe they're looking at it because they're looking at points deduction, and Wilder's done miracles with the points deduction.
He's the sort of manager that will turn up in the Premier League side as a role. He's now becoming the new Sam Allardyce for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're rolling him in. They're rolling him in somewhere just to try and get a result. And
God, when Parker gets sacked and Wilder comes in.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we had it at Watford. Wilder came in at Watford, and he was. I mean, we go through managers. We've spoken about that, but my God, he was poor.
I'd rather have Warnock, and I can't stand him either.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Well,
good.
I like him now. He's retired, but as a manager, you're a rap.
He was a good. I prefer him now because on social media or podcasts, his stories. Warnock's brilliant, but. Yeah, as a manager, you hated him, didn't you? No matter where he was. Yeah, couldn't stand him. But yeah, Wilder's not doing himself any favours, and it is because of his arrogance. He's just comes across completely wrong. But he'll turn up somewhere and get a big payout for getting the team relegated. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what Sellers does with them as well next season.
Yeah.
But see, and that's a must. Like, it's a huge bit of trust. And we mentioned it probably was unfairly sacked at all, but he was sacked by a team that finished fourth, fifth bottom. And Sellers is a good firefighter, like going into clubs who are struggling, and he did a wonderful job at Reading. Don't get us wrong, got Hull stayed up, but that is such a different kind of project he's going into to get, because his mantra next year will be to get promoted. There's no way they're going to say, well, we'll consolidate, because they'll need the money. So it's an interesting one. I'm not sure about that, to be honest.
No, I'm not. No,
Johnny, I'm sorry, but that's desperation. That's desperation.
Gary O'Neill.
Why didn't you apply? You should have applied.
Can we move on to Burnley now?
I don't know.
Let Dan
Should we
have a
keep
smile.
it? Should we keep him waiting like he kept us waiting?
Let's just skip to first.
Yeah, totally.
Go on, Dan. Burnley finished in second position and got promoted to the Premier League.
They did, and shouldn't have finished in second, but Manor Solomon had to go and do something in the 89th minute and break our hearts. So,
Sorry, look.
so the promotion party.
Carry on, Dan.
What about your "Hi, my name is Johnny"? Does that not work? But no, I just think we obviously had quite a lot. Again, similar to what Ant said earlier, that we've touched on Burnley's season, and Parker was dealt a bit of a shitstorm at the start. It were, players there's probably still knuckle marks on on the manager's door from how many people said, "I want out, I want to leave." He's had to build up a team, and obviously from that, I think the players and the togetherness we've had as the season went on has been nothing short of remarkable. Everybody was from outside was saying, "Oh, well done for taking one for the team, bringing Scott Parker to your club. Good luck with that." Majority with that, but Bournemouth and Fulham fans, to be quite honest. But he's turned this again. We can go back to Sheffield United. Gustavo Hamer getting, the accolade of player of the season or something like that as a midfielder with 6 goals. But yet you've got a midfielder in Josh Brownhill with 18. I was like, but then yet again, we couldn't win them all. So yeah, just an outstanding season all in all. I just think that defensively, absolutely brilliant. And I know over the years we've been built on that defensive stability, apart from under Company where we just chucked everything away. But we've gone from Ben Mee and Tarkovsky, and we had CJ Egan-Riley and Maxime Esteve just form this partnership that nobody even expected. We're hoping that Jordan Bayer would have been in there, but had an unfortunate season. CJ Egan-Riley was meant to actually go back out on loan after his Hibs move the season before, and obviously just came into the fray and made it his own. So I can't begrudge him for saying, well, yeah, I'm off to Marseille. It's the draws that worried me. We had a lot of draws last season, and it didn't help us in terms of trying to win the league. But yeah, I can't complain. I can't complain from how we thought after coming down and Company leaving. Everybody's head was sort of in the gutter.
Yeah,
because you were worrying about how this manager's gone from the doldrums of having one of the worst seasons ever to, the highlights of the Bundesliga, to now having Scott Parker and thinking, Jesus, are we this desperate? And I'll hold my hand up. I was sort of against his appointment, and he's completely turned everything around. I will eat my hat. Not now.
Go on then. Get some
ketchup.
Get the ketchup out.
That's why it took me so long earlier. I was vomiting Adidas logos and all sorts of other hats. But no, it's just been a funny old season, and one that, again, I was asked today a question of next season, how do you think Burnley will get on? And when you look at how defensively solid we was, you'd like to think that would stand us in good stead. But this is the Premier League next year, and it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, different.
Yeah, and then obviously you've lost O'Reilly, and there's every chance Trafford's going, isn't there? So it's
Yeah. Oh, Trafford's made us laugh already by putting away the same Sunderland way, but then and then he's being corrected. I was just like, oh god, you're going to be hated before you've even put the shirt on. But I'll tell you what, losing Josh Brownhill as well next season is going to be massive. On a free, can't begrudge him. He's done, wonderful in his time at the club. But I think we're signing the right sort of caliber of player. From what I'm hearing, yes, we have got some young players coming in, but yeah, I don't know. I just rode a wave last year. I think it's a bit different. It's like Ant's story with Sunderland. They've been trying to get back to them highs of what we've seen teams that have been in League One for a while doing with like the Leeds and Southampton, and they've come back to try and emulate that model, except do a lot better job. So yeah, let's just see what we do. But last season was something to enjoy.
I just want to ask you a question. Will Burnley stick with Scott Parker no matter what?
Yeah, we're not a higher fire club, so I think it's weird because when we spoke to Scott Parker not so long ago, and he's like, I'm from a working class background. I'm like, yeah, but a very pissing rich one.
Yeah, he's well dressed, isn't he? Very well dressed.
Definitely. I mean, you can smell the Tom Ford aftershave before he walks in. It's like it's mad. The guy is so well dressed, speaks so well, but the players say that the way he comes across himself, his interviews, and he doesn't like doing the media, but the way he speaks in the dressing room, he said the players are actually captivated by his words. I think they were having to check Duolingo to check the Cockney accent, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. If it's another, dodgy season, what will be. But last year, couldn't complain. Rode the wave. We're still undefeated against the unwashed six-fingered lot. So, Cenkwi.
Anybody else got anything to add on Burnley?
Shithole.
Yeah.
I can say that, Gits.
He's allowed. He's allowed.
Any team who goes unbeaten at home all season deserves a pat on the back. So fair play to that. Yeah. It should have been one defeat. It should have been. James Trafford. I can laugh about it now that we're up. I can't laugh about it being a complete and utter shithouse. So
we actually got asked a question today at this interview thing in Leeds about Trafford, and someone said, "Do you think you'll be more beneficial if you sell him?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let's not forget that would Trafford have been the almighty keeper that he was this season if he didn't have the most meanest defence in the Championship in front of him? Next season he'll be found out."
Yeah, well, he's had the chance, hasn't he, already? Hasn't he? So
yeah, exactly.
He got dropped, so yeah,
exactly. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to another season and just see what happens. And the new shirt, I've decided to treat myself to the new top, which is weird. I'm not used to having all claret. It's usually blue sleeves, but we've got a bit of a trim.
Are you going to get the Premier League badge on it?
Nah, I was going to, but I didn't want to look too smug.
I'm going to get the Premier League badge on one of mine. I was on a podcast with Carl, funny enough, a few years ago when we were in the Championship, and I had one of my old Sunderland Blue Tops with the Premier League badge on. He proper caught us out. It's like shit. But yeah.
I tell you what, going off the meeting that I had at the Turf today, lots of good things coming out.
Yeah,
in terms of like modernising Turf more. That's all. That's all I'll say because I can't say too much. NDA and all that.
Anything about Sam Waller?
Yeah. Well. We did get asked that actually about our youth system. That there's a guy there who he takes some of the youth players in. His house is like the youth digs, and he said that some of the young players don't actually go out on loan as much anymore. So we were asked about players like that, and he did say that there is some of the under-21s that are potentially not close, not close to actually. Sorry, they are close to making some moves. So I actually did mention that you would prefer Samwell back at Rochdale. I said, and hopefully Samwell would not go and jump to their rivals. And they said, "Well, we'll see what happens." That's all I got.
They've got 3 goalkeepers, so they can back off right now. We've got 0 goalkeepers.
Hold on. Keep Shaw back. Keep Shaw back, quick.
Exactly. I know, exactly. I'm like a little chihuahua. Honestly, but do you know what? I'm convinced we're getting Sam Waller back. I don't know what it is. I just have such a feeling. I'm going to be heartbroken. I said the same about Louis Molden, didn't I, last season?
Yeah.
I'm going to be heartbroken, but part of me is like, no, Sam Waller is coming back.
Why not?
I hope so. If not, I'm blaming you, Dan.
Mellon as well. Time will tell. Lots of youngsters to loan out.
Right. The time has come. Our champions of the season, 2024-25 season, Leeds United.
Well done. Thanks for watching.
Quickly make that comment that Channel NAM's put Matty Young won't be at Rochdale next year. And I don't mean to be horrible to Rochdale, but he was at Salford last year. So he'd be going League One, possibly Championship if...
Are you being horrible to us, Sam?
This is the only thing I've got to say about Leeds. I really wish Burnley finished top.
Yes, Drita. Love it.
I know we probably have to be a little bit sort of fair, but they should have won the league with the team they had. With Joel Pirro, getting 19 goals, fair play. They only lost once at home. Found a way, didn't they? They found a way to win a lot of games, which was fair play at least, because obviously they scored a lot of last-minute goals and that. I didn't think they were outstandingly great, but they just had enough. They found enough to win games, and to again, that home form was outstanding. Only lost 4 all season, so fair play. But I was just expecting that. That was pretty much what I expected from Leeds United. Finished top, they did that. They probably did it the hard way. But the last game of the season probably should have been away. Yeah, probably that, and I don't think Daniel Farke will be there long enough. I don't. If he, because there was talk that they were going to stand him, they were going to sack him, wasn't it? There was talk. They got him up, they were going to sack him and everything like that, and it didn't happen. I don't know with them. I'm more confident about us staying up than I am Leeds.
Yeah, everybody's talking about Leeds doing this, that, and the other, and they're so good on the front foot. They were very attacking. Yeah, in the Championship, that's brilliant. But you get to the Prem and you found out, and I go back to the Burnley and Eddie Howe. It was a case of under Eddie Howe, we was like, you score 3, we'll score 4.
Yeah.
Leeds aren't going to be like that. Leeds are going to be like, yeah, we'll score 3, but we're also going to concede 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like Norwich 2.0 when Daniel Farke went up with them. Remember that they came up and everyone was so buzzing, they're so exciting. I think the first game they scored they scored 2 or 3 against Liverpool, but Liverpool scored 6, and then that just kind of set the mantra was that it's exciting, but it ain't going to get you any points in the Premier League, and you're going to get trounced at the other end. So I mean, they've got a lot to do, I think, still in terms of the squad to get that right and to get that ready for the Premier League. So I can understand why they're umming and ahhing about what's now best to do, but they should have had this plan in place for a while, because, I mean, they're not going up in the playoffs is probably the best thing that could have happened to them, because they weren't ready. Same as Southampton weren't ready. And it's given them that extra season to get up and to now feel that they should try and stay and establish. But I think, as I'm sure we'll come to when we get to the preview show with the Premier League and with both of you guys, it's who are they knocking off? Who's going to come down? But I mean, in terms of this season, yeah, you can't argue the squad. The squad was excellent. They delivered, as Ant said. They got over the line. They won so many games, which were tight. And they just got some great players for that sort of Championship level. They've got people like Solomon, like Joel Pirel, like Dan James, like that were excellent for them. I say next season's a different kettle of fish, and they'll worry about that next season. But Very good. Yeah, I agree with Simon there. To be fair, Millie cannot come up like last. No. He was an absolute mess last time in the Premier League. He was possibly the reason that if Burnley had finished top, that they didn't finish top because of the amount of clangers that were dropped there.
Yeah.
They definitely need to be. I've read rumours down Ramsdale. I don't think that would be a bad shout. Someone like that, because he'll be on. He won't be going down with Southampton, so someone will be on the move for him.
Yeah, he can get relegated again.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll just add to his resume. So yeah, as you said,
for me, it's the Leeds fans and the big club tag that they like. Every club in football has history. Leeds live off theirs. And the fans are so entitled, and there's some decent Leeds fans, don't get me wrong. I dare say it. I've got neighbours next door but one that scream about Leeds all the time. And every time I see the white shirts on the washing line, I'm just hoping a pigeon flies over and does the biggest shit in the world. But Joe, they're so fickle that like Joe Pirro will be like, oh yeah, you can't cut it in the Premier League. No, it's just that you're in the Prem now. You're not going to be ripping it up. You're not going to be scoring goals every week. You're going to be getting those odd goals on the counter when you can. When teams have say you've just conceded or something like that, and you're like, all right, we've got this bit of oomph, and they're still trying to get back into shape, and you go and get one back. It's going to be a case of that. Like I said, the three teams coming up are essentially could potentially be a hat trick of relegations, couldn't it, for the promoted sides?
It's tough because the Premier League, they'll hit you in spurts as well. You notice that it's not just a goal; it's two goals go in suddenly, and that's how quickly it can kind of turn. And as you say, Dan, like Leeds have wanted to get back there. They've got the feeling, and they are. There's no doubt Leeds are a massive club, massive history. But say from my perspective, it's another team that hate us who are going to be sort of cup finals against us as well.
Yeah,
it's been a bit unfair. Like you've got three fans on here who all hate Leeds.
It's probably not the most balanced
things to say about them.
I know.
Well, they won the league, and we always say the team that won the league deserved to win the league. The league table never lies. There you go.
Doesn't. We have got as well. David has put. Sorry, Sam, missed Man United off the list of possible relegation candidates.
We're joint top. I have if you go on the table at the moment, so anything's possible.
Johnny, if you've already cast me aside, don't worry, I'm not taking CVs or anything yet. So when I start wanting to add to my friends list, I will put an interview process out that you can come along to, and we'll take it from there.
You've got to sign his NDA first, though.
He hasn't got the badges, man. He hasn't got the badges for example.
Yeah, there'll be a spaghetti one here, and.
Yeah.
Do you know what I thought of as well, Dan? When you said that you hope a pigeon or something shits on the Leeds shirt, it reminded me of your story, Sam, about your brother's chips.
Good old
Aylesbury,
Aylesbury nil, St Albans City nil. Game of my life. Until the pigeon shat on my brother's chips. Best day of my life.
But of course, that is the end of the show. 6 out of 6 reviews done. Thank you so much, Sam, for all of the graphics. I know I say it after every single show, but what an effort from you. And thank you so much, because there were so many of them. What a guy, yeah.
You're welcome. I must admit, when I had to open that file again last night, I was like, oh, for God's sake, can I just get away with just like doing it? But no, and credit to you, Shark, because you've done 6 season reviews, and they're not easy to do, to talk about every single team one by one. So
you fair smashed it, Shaw.
Sam,
now it's season preview.
Treat yourself to a nice little treat and watch the Manchester United Coventry FA Cup semi-final again.
Did you think? I hated it the first time around. I'm never watching that game again.
Treat yourself to it.
Shaw's going away before pre-season, so she's going for a week in Hollingworth Lake.
I know. Treating myself. I'm going to take my armbands with me. I'll send you the picture. You imagine me on a sun lounger at Hollingworth Lake. Do it just for pod content now.
Smothered in duck food and geese shit.
Do you know what, though? I literally live around the corner from Queen's Park, so I might do that and go to the local lake instead. Oh, funny. But thank you guys so much for coming on and having your say. Anne, where can everybody find you if you want more Ant in their lives, apart from on the Tuesday Premier League show?
Apart from then, yeah.
I'm going to have to add you to the group chat, Ant. I'm so excited.
I am looking forward to it. Sunderland's club shop tomorrow. Buying that new away top. But apart from that,
that's class, by the way, Ant. Sorry, that is a class shirt.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's a lot better than Newcastle's Jaffa Cake box top that they've brought up. But never mind. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ant_Waterson and on Blue Sky under the same one, and that's about it, really.
Also, I know Carl isn't here now, but where could everybody find his content if they
Yes,
do want
he's had to leave. He's just messaged us. Sorry, he's had to leave. It was obviously a bit late, but he is at him, Peter, and Justin, who are absolutely brilliant, by the way. Wonderful podcast. It's a Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast. Like I said, even if you're not remotely interested in Watford, they don't really talk about Watford or whatever else, but it's a wonderful, wonderful podcast. And obviously, I know Carl's gone, but thank you very much, mate, for coming on. And yeah, all the best to Watford for next season.
Sam, the Premier League, EFL, and graphic man. Where can everybody find you?
Probably making some new graphics for the new season now. I've done all the end of season reviews, which has not helped actually because bloody National League have changed their logo, and that's fine because it's kind of green and what I can deal with that. The new WSL logo was a joke. There's so many colours going on. I don't know what we're going to do with that yet. So that's next round. But
hasn't National League got it's Enterprise Rent-A-Car, isn't it?
Enterprise Rent-A-Car, yeah. We're going green. I think
for the poor person doing this football scores, isn't it? And now to the Enterprise Rent-A-Car League, whatever it is, Northern League.
If none of you notice now on my non-league pod, I go absolutely non-league. The show dedicated to National League North, National League South, because I'm not saying Enterprise.
Wait till you have to put it in the graphics though, or you write it in and someone pulls you up because you've not wrote Enterprise right.
Yeah.
Why is it in green?
Enterprise, we're going green next year. We're going green, just in the graphic colour, nothing else.
If Watford go up next season, Joe, do you promise to do on a podcast, beam me up, and then we can get some kind of like thing where you just disappear, like off Star Trek? Yeah, because that's called the Enterprise, isn't it? So
yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Sam, where can everyone find you?
Where can you find me? Suspense. Who knows? If you didn't know by now, on Twitter at Sam Absolute FBL, and I do have my EFL YouTube channel at Sam Absolute EFL, where I'm going to do. Now I've done all these bloody graphics, I'm going to start working on my own season previews for next season. So we'll get to them. But yeah, most of the time it's here doing something for the Absolute Football Podcast legendary team.
And not part of a VAR team. Fuck up games.
Far from it.
From it. Where can everybody find you? Another one who's leaving me. It's getting lonely here.
I'll try and come to both. I'll try and get on both.
You tell me this, Dan. It's here now. I'll clip it.
Anyway, Sam, we'll talk off air.
We do. I need you. I haven't got any of your bloody team members. You two better be free next Tuesday.
I'll probably end up on it at some point anyway.
You know what it'll be? The first show will be us four, just like now.
Probably.
No, yeah, I'm starting to do my content again online, so it's good to get back into the swing of things. And you know what? I didn't think I'd been missed, but it seems I were more than I actually thought. So thank you to everyone for that. And yeah, just at Turf Morehouse on most social media platforms, and obviously being a part of this absolutely wonderful, crazy bunch. Love it.
Am I going to be your first guest next season, Dan? Since we've played each other very early on.
Yeah, well, if I can get a Spurs fan, I've tried to get a Lazio fan for the friendly, but then I'm like, how's that going to work out? But no, I'm going to try and get a Spurs fan for the first game. But that Sunderland game, mate, you're the first person I'm hitting up.
Can you imagine if you get someone else on to preview instead of me?
Yes. Ryan in the chat.
Yeah.
Dan's thinking, shit, cancel him.
It'll just be literally us on the Premier League show. We don't want to speak to him.
Sam, can you ask Dan this question? Dan, can you ask Dan this question?
Sam, will you tell Dan that I thought we played very well?
I'll do it just the three of us with me in the middle and you on the other end, just the other way.
Do you know what, though? It could work out well because if one of you are on the Premier League show, I could have one of you on the lower league show then if you've fallen out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be like, I always preferred Ben anyway.
All coming out now, Dan. I wouldn't check it.
It's fine. Don't worry. Everybody's got a bit of gingeristas in them.
I know. And as well, if anybody does want to find me, I am SharX3FC. That is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Her Game 2 stuff as well is Rochdale HGT. And the most important ones, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. We did win Best New Content Creator at the FCAs. And I have mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. Nominations are open. We're not forcing you to nominate us. You don't have to. But if you do love our content, then please do. It all means a lot to us. We do really appreciate any support. We are live on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Twitter, we are Absolute Ball Pod. On YouTube and Twitch, we are Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok, Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Skies, Absolute Football, and the Absolute Football Podcast on Facebook. As I did mention, 4 live shows a week.
5 this week, Shah, because there's a special Saturday, Lionesses live, England versus France for Freya on Saturday. So it's 5 this week.
My favourite boy band. 5. Giving away my secrets now. But yeah, please do tune in for that. On a Monday, we are absolutely non-league. Absolutely Premier League show on a Tuesday with Sam and the team. Absolutely Women's Football show on a Wednesday with Freya and Team Chaos. And of course, as Sam did mention, we are live on Saturday for the watch along. Please do go and support them. And then obviously on a Thursday is Absolutely Lower League, where we cover the EFL Championship, League 1, League 2. One more thing I did want to mention as well before we go off. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the situation at Morecambe. If you are not familiar with the situation at Morecambe, please go and have a read up about it because they're in serious trouble, unfortunately, at the moment. Bad ownership. I know quite a lot of you are familiar with the story because of obviously our very own Jen, who she has been highlighting the situation and the struggles. Myself and Jen and Ben was on as well, JCB. We did do a Twitter space yesterday. It is on my account. I will retweet it again if anybody does want to hear about that and just support it and have your say. And please try and raise awareness as well. Hashtag Jason out would be much appreciated. So please go and do that because honestly, it's heartbreaking what's going on there at the moment. Nobody, no matter who you support, no matter what league you're in, whereabouts in the world you're from, we are one big football family and we'd all hate it if we lost our clubs. So please go and support Morecambe in any way you can. It is much appreciated.
Yeah, and if Jason Whittingham is somehow listening to this, which he probably won't be, 5 words, mate: sell up and fuck off.
Yes. And that's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
Love you all so much. We love you too, Jen. Giving your age away, Shah, saying your favourite band is 5 must be similar age to me. Not necessarily. I am going watching them though. It's very, very soon live in concert.
They were brilliant though.
Oh, yeah.
Such a boy band.
I used to like Jamie. I thought Jay were the decent. Abs.
Do you remember when Abs went on Celebrity Love Island and like had a Jamaican accent? Do you remember
that?
Yeah. It was
And he's
Probably
watched
called
it.
Flabs now.
it probably is. Yeah, I think he was on like the second series when it was like before Love Island was a big thing. It was like called Celebrity Love Island. It was a proper flop, and he went on and he was like, "Is doing the business is." I'm like, what the fuck? When did he ever talk like that? Never mind.
No, what a band. What a band. But please go and check out all the Morecambe stuff. It'd be much appreciated. If you see anything as well, if you want to tag any journalists or anybody who can obviously speak about the story, raise attention about it, please do, because we're trying to do as much as we can to try and help raise awareness and hopefully, fingers crossed, drive Jason out to save the club. Yeah, he did, Johnny. He did. He messed that up as well. But of course, thank you as well to each and every person who comes and supports us week in, week out. You are all absolutely fantastic. We appreciate you so much. Have a lovely weekend. Take care and bye for now.